Good evening, family, and welcome back to another live edition of Maddie's Rap with author and storyteller Matt D. Talford. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're watching this on demand, because right now there's nobody in the chat, all right? So if you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, of course, subscriber. It's been a long day. I said subscriber, but it's subscriber. Y'all, I'm real hard on myself about my English. What's up, Hotshot? Thank you for being here tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you are a returning family member, let's do it that way. Since I seem to be getting tongue-tied with subscriber, welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. I'm waiting for, we got Cassandra in the house, y'all. They coming on in. Thank y'all for being here. So, y'all know the routine. I'm going to, I got a nice little, I don't know what to call. I shouldn't say little, right? We don't say little anymore. Hey, Tora girl, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being here. We don't say little anymore. We should be saying, yeah, we got to stop belittling ourselves, right? Saying, well, I got a nice little, no, it ain't little. It's big, all right? I got a nice big lesson plan for y'all tonight, okay? So we're going to break this down. We're going to go straight through. We're going to flow. It's nice when I got notes sometimes, though it doesn't seem to matter because like last night, for those of y'all that are back here, you see that I went, 2 hours and 40-something minutes last night. I got up and watched it again this morning or watched it this morning. Of course, I'm not watching it when I'm recording it, but I was surprised at how it flowed. I was like, that did not feel like 2 hours and 40-something minutes. But anyway, I'm going to give y'all a little bit more Patrice Rushen because I'm feeling Patrice Rushen right now for whatever reason. We did the Feel So Real last night, and we're going to go with a classic, Forget Me Nots, okay? Y'all know this one. I'm going to put this one on for y'all. And you know what, y'all? I really don't need to step away because I got everything here. So I'm going to let the music play in the background, and I'm going to play DJ and talk over the music while we're getting this thing done. So, you know, y'all know what it is. You're watching Maddie's Rap with author and storyteller Matt D. Talford. Let's put some Forget Me Nots on there. All right? Here we go. Let's see. Let's get this going. I got some nice surprises for y'all, too. I do. For those of y'all that look at the description box copy, y'all, we ain't sharing. What are we doing, Matt? Y'all already know what's happening, right? Thank you. For those of y'all that are returning from last night, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Like last night was special because it felt like I've been gone for a month, even though it's only about 2 weeks. But y'all don't miss a beat, man. I love each and every one of y'all. We got Space Elf in the house. What's up, Space Elf? We got Fair Use. What's up, Fair Use? What's up? Nice to see some familiar names in here. I'm gonna let a little bit of this Patrice Rushen Forget Me Nots play. And I hope y'all are doing all right out there this Monday evening. Y'all, I had a long day today, as you can tell, but that's par for the course for my Capricorn people out there. Y'all know what it is. We get it down, we get it done. Y'all already know, okay? All right, y'all keep coming in. Tap that like button for me, family. Tap that like button. Let's let the people know that we're here, okay? Matter of fact, let me pull it up on my phone and tap my own like button, right? Can't tell y'all to do it and I ain't doing it, right? I want you to remember, y'all, this is the reason I'm playing this song tonight, okay? Because tonight we're going to be talking about problem solving. And I want you to remember how to solve problems based on what I'm going to be laying out for y'all. So while this music is playing, family, I want each and every one of you to go somewhere and grab a pen or grab a tablet, or open up the Notes app on your phone, because tonight you're going to want to take notes. Tonight you are going to want to take notes. And yeah, I got a little plan in my head for, you know, what I'm going to do. Cindy, you forget me not. What I'm going to do with these timestamps. But I cannot do timestamps for everything I got planned tonight, y'all, or else this will be too long. So I want y'all to take notes tonight, y'all. I want y'all to take notes. All right. This is going to be, again, one of those videos, y'all. One of those videos after which you will have leveled up. Okay. We got Karen checking in. What's up, Karen? What is up, family? Let me get over here and do this thing for myself, and then we're going to get ready to get started, okay? All right? Let's see what we got here. Where am I? Let's see. Matt D. Talford. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Okay. Let me tap this myself. All right. I gave myself a like, all right? So we good. All right, we got 14 in. 14 is good. That's a good place for me to start. It's a great place to start. I know I ain't got nobody out there old enough to remember this song when it first dropped, all right? We got JoJo Mack in the house. He said, I can't be the only one who smiled like a kid seeing his favorite aunt. What's up, man? Okay, all right, appreciate that. 2 nights in a row. Just like you're down the street. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? We about 5 minutes in, y'all. Y'all, man, y'all gonna make my ears get swallowed up by my mouth, y'all. Y'all blowing the head up. All right? It's a good thing I cut my hair down, otherwise that fro would probably be like growing like that. Space Elf. All right? Let me let the horns kick in, and then we're gonna take it down. Let's let the horns kick in, and then we're gonna take it down. Let me start pre-writing out these Saturn signs. Give me y'all a sneak preview. As soon as I'm done writing out these signs for the timestamps, y'all, we're gonna get it started. Aries. Taurus. Gemini. Cancer. Leo. Virgo. Libra. Scorpio. Sag. Cap. Aqua. And Pisces. I'm going to do 2 sets of timestamps, y'all. But this thing goes more layers deep than this, okay? First, second, third. Let's see, 10th house. Third, fourth. Almost there, y'all. Give me a sec. 5th. Those of you watching on demand, bear with me. Thank you. I appreciate your patience. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. All right, y'all. Let's take the music down. Let's take it on down. Let's get ready to get this party started. Y'all tap that like button for me on the way in. Tap that like button, y'all. All right? Let's take it on down. Patrice, we love you, but it's time for us to go to work. All right? All right, time to go to work. Love you when I need you so sending you forget-me-nots. All right, y'all. I want y'all to remember what we're talking about here tonight. Let me switch it over. All right, y'all. She said, only if you're over 61, Karen. Fair, you said I'm a proud 59, man. I love y'all up in here. I love y'all. Cassandra said I hit the like on my way in. Got a notebook and a pen. She ready to go. Well, I'm glad you're ready to go. So let's get ready to go, y'all. Oh, I see what's happening over there. Karen and Hotshot trying to see who got a little bit more seniority. Well, let me say this. Don't none of y'all look it, okay? None of y'all look it. So it don't matter. It don't matter who got the seniority because none of y'all look it, all right? So let's get it started, family. What we talking about tonight? Let me open up. Y'all know how we started. Let me open the description box copy. What are we talking about tonight, family? And y'all bear with me if I stumble over my words a little bit. Again, it's been a long day. And y'all, I'm gonna give y'all this exciting announcement in just a second, but let me read this description box copy because major milestone reached today. And actually what I got to share with y'all is gonna feed into what we're talking about tonight. Funny how that always works, right? So your birth chart reveals the best way for you watching this video to solve problems, okay? All right, and we're gonna timestamp this one. You know, I gotta spoil my people. I got all signs up there in the title just to let people know that are browsing that this will be specific for your sign, because I know some people like to hit it and quit it. You know, they don't want to wine and dine. They don't want to do the foreplay. They don't want to take you out for a meal. Yeah. And I do talk sideways like that sometimes. Y'all know I love telling y'all the family stories. My mom, she used to tap me in my mouth when I was little. She used to be like, Matt, why you got to push the envelope? And my thing was, if I don't push the envelope, I don't know how far it goes. Oh man, this is what happens when you got a. Anyway, let me stop. When you got a kid who's in the books all the time, he's trying to have an adult conversation when you little. It's funny. Or talk like grown-ups, not have an adult-themed conversation. I ain't do that. Anyway, y'all, your birth chart reveals the best way for you to solve problems. If I've mentioned it once on this channel, I've mentioned it 1,000 times. Your natal chart is your personal operations manual for your time here on planet Earth. Not only does it bring clarity to who you are and what you came here to achieve, it also tells you how to do all of it. In tonight's live stream, we will go over the placement that explains one of the key things we all came here to experience, y'all: overcoming obstacles and solving problems. Okay? All right? I need to edit that, but I can't edit it on the fly. By the end of this live stream, you should feel empowered with the knowledge of how you uniquely solve problems and leave with the confidence of knowing that whenever you are presented with a challenge, you can look within, which is what Luke 17:21 tells us to do, right? What did he say? What did the Messiah say? The kingdom of God is within you. So I'm going to read that again. By the end of tonight's live stream, you should feel empowered with the knowledge of who you uniquely or how you uniquely solve problems and leave with the confidence of knowing that whenever you are presented with a challenge, you can look within. Okay? And you can look within to find answers on how to overcome the obstacle and achieve success. Now, let me open up my notes and we're going to get this party started, y'all. Y'all can tell I'm smiling. That's that smile that you put on your face when you've overcome, when you finished, for my army people out there, when you finished a long road march, when you finished that 12-mile road march at the end of the expert field medical badge trials, and you did it in under 3 hours. I don't know what the standard is today. We talking 30 something years ago when I was in there, whatever. I met the standard. Let me say that. So let me open up my notes and we're going to get ready to get started, y'all. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Okay. Let's see. So tonight, I'll keep this real simple. Let me first begin by announcing the purchase link, the availability of the purchase link for the book that I told y'all about. It is titled Twin Flames: Solving the Problem of the Avoidant, Dismissive, Divine Masculine. Y'all, this has been what an experience. What an experience, y'all. What an experience drafting this book. The creative process. What an experience, y'all. This is it was an experience. It was spiritual. It was unlike any book writing project I've ever undertaken. Never ever have I received the constant downloads, and you think you're done with the book and you get a fresh download, and the Holy Spirit is showing you where to plug it into the book. And I'm just constantly back and forth, y'all. I won't talk about my process that I use for writing books, because my team has told me that at some point I probably want to do some sort of class and explain my process, because to me it comes easy. But it's going to come easy when you got a Jupiter in the third house. That process of writing, drafting, creating a book, publishing, that's going to come easy for you because it's one of your gifts. Oh, gifts. I'm trying to enunciate better. It's tough when you're tired, right? And y'all already know, I told y'all Mondays, typically every week from Monday, from midnight Monday through about midday Tuesday. So about, 24 to 36 hours, depending on what I got going on. I don't eat anything. I just kind of let my body rest completely. Like, I don't want anything digesting or breaking down. What that does is that allows the body to take a break. It allows you to burn off some stuff that you need to get burned off in your body. And it allows for a little bit more mental clarity. So you get more downloads. It's spiritual. Fasting really is spiritual. I didn't understand it when I was a child. They just, in church, they'd be like, well, we need to fast and pray, blah, 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 blah. But now that I do it regularly, once a week, I get it. I get it now. I get why the ancient sages would fast. They fasted so that their vessel was empty so that they could receive from the Spirit. So it's very, very profound. But anyway, let me get back to it. So the purchase link is now available. I have put the link to the blog post in the description box of this video. So you guys can now go and click that link. It again, it's in the description box underneath this video. You can click that link and you can see that beautiful artwork, that beautiful cover design by none other than Boss Lady. That's her strength. That's another one of her strength. We tag team like that. She's got the eye for design. I'm the writer. Okay, boom, 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 boom. We get it knocked out. So y'all don't want to ever see me design a book cover. You probably, it probably would be a fail unless y'all had compassion on me. Say, we're gonna look past this elementary artwork on this cover and read what Matt had to put in there. Okay, now we see what it is. But if y'all had to go by the book cover and I designed it, I'd probably still be in corporate America. Okay. Anyway, so we're gonna do. I want you guys again. This has been a rewarding process, and a lot of you watching me have asked me for that book. A lot of you have said, Matt, when are you going to put this in book format so that we can soak up all of this knowledge that you share with us? Beautifully formatted, beautifully crafted. The flow is excellent, and I'm not blowing my own horn. I'm telling y'all, this is my Jupiter. My Jupiter's in the 3rd house, so it's gonna be good. Okay, you got somebody with a Jupiter in Taurus or a Jupiter in Cancer, they probably gonna be an excellent cook. As good as I am, I probably won't even be able to touch them. Okay, so y'all know your gifts, know your gifts, and know your chart, know yourself. That's what I was just talking about last night. Tonight, I'm not gonna hold y'all anymore. We're gonna get right into this. Okay, tonight you're gonna leave here feeling empowered. You're gonna feel like, hey, you know what? There's no problem I can't overcome. And so as I get into explaining the tools, which I'm about to do, I'm going to explain to you guys how these tools flow together. And it's a beautiful process, a beautiful flow designed by the creator. Designed by the creator, y'all. This is how you're designed. For all of those people out there to say, oh, astrology is of the devil, then you're calling the creator the devil. Let's just put it out there. For all of the people saying that astrology is of the devil, you're calling the creator the devil. Because if you understood how beautifully and wonderfully you were made, and not just that, but how you work, man, you'd be living a life of purpose and a life of freedom, a life free from restrictions. The only thing that restricts us a lot of times, y'all, is a lack of understanding. That is one of the quotes from my book. Okay, this new book. One of the quotes is, "A problem is only a problem." This is not the exact quote. I don't want to put it out there and there's somebody running with it before the book is out, because y'all know people are always listening and trying to copy what somebody else is doing because they're not originators. I see them all the time, not just with me, but I see other content creators out there talking about the copycats that are the low vibrational people waiting with their spoon and bowl and a freaking handkerchief tucked into their shirt, waiting for you to feed them in the next meal. So I'm not going to do that. However, I will throw off and paraphrase it and say, a problem is only a problem when you lack understanding. Once you understand it, it's no longer a problem. It's not a problem anymore. Okay? So a lot of the problems that we have in our lives are because for a lack of understanding. Is that not scripture? Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for a lack of understanding or lack of knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of self in this case. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And a lot of it is because we reject knowledge. It's not because the knowledge is not out there. The knowledge is out there. Tonight, I'm sharing that knowledge with you all. Okay? Let's see. So the tools. Let me talk about the tools, y'all. Let's talk about the tools that we're going to be using to solve our problems. We're talking about how you uniquely solve problems based on your natal chart. Your natal chart is a snapshot of the energy that is you. Notice I did not say a snapshot of your energy. I said a snapshot of the energy that is you. You are energy. Your body is just a container. You are energy. You don't have energy. You are energy. Okay? You are energy. You give off energy. You give off a certain frequency based on the energy of your emotions. The energy that you give off is the energy that is felt by others, people and animals and plants. Okay? So let's talk about those tools. Y'all, sometimes I do better when that overhead light's on because it helps to drown out this light right here. But I don't think it's the light as much as it is that, I've been burning the candle at both ends. So if I need to, I'm going to switch to these glasses that I'm not a big fan of, even though other people say, no, the glasses are cool. I'm not a big fan of them, but I'll do my best. Okay. So let me see if I can turn the brightness up on my screen. Oh, that helps. Okay. So let's introduce the tools. When it comes to problem solving, I'm not going to hold you guys anymore. You have a macro energy, the high level, the big overall umbrella energy. Then you have a micro energy, okay? And then you've got some levels beneath that. This is why I'm always on here telling y'all astrology is vast. You can't just look at one aspect of a person and say, oh, that's who they are. There's multiple aspects to each and every one of us. And then there are multiple layers of those individual aspects. Doesn't that sound a little bit more infinite than this whole finite appearance that, we're taught to look at ourselves as. If we're eternal beings, we are infinity. I'll give you a case in point. For my ladies watching, you were, and this is pretty much everybody, but I want to deal with the ladies in particular because they are the bridge between, they are the physical portal from which life or from which energy comes from the ether into the earth realm. I'm talking about physical energy, babies, people. Y'all females, the ladies watching, y'all are the portals. Now watch this. I'm just going to give you a snapshot of what infinity looks like. Y'all know this. Females are born with all of the ovum or ova eggs. Let me just say eggs. Good God. I'm trying to be technical and whatnot. Females are born with all of the eggs that they're going to have in their lifetime. Okay? Females are born with all the eggs that they're going to have in their lifetime. I see y'all. I see the orders already coming in. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much, man. I love y'all. Y'all do not play around. Thank y'all so much. Okay. So females are born with all of the eggs they're going to have in that lifetime. So guess what that means? That works in two directions. It's infinite. Before your mother was born, y'all see where I'm going? It's infinite. It's infinite inner space and infinite outer space. Okay. Before your mother was born, she already had you in her. Okay. And before your grandmother was born, your mother was already in her. And before your great grandmother was born, your grandmother was already in her. And so on and so forth, all the way back. Think about that for a minute. That's infinite. And so for those of you who are mothers now, guess what? Y'all know how it works. That daughter that you gave birth to, she already has the lineage, how many levels deep inside of her. This is how deep this stuff is, y'all. This is why when I see astrologers present themselves as authorities that know it all, I just shake my head at them. I shake my head. I'm like, okay, you're good. You know, you're good at what you know. You're good at what you know, but you don't know everything. So don't scoff at somebody that doesn't. I heard one astrologer say that people should not be allowed to do astrological readings, or people should not be allowed to come on a public platform and talk astrology unless they have been certified or accredited by some university or some school. I'm like, what about the souls that came here to resume teaching astrology and helping people understand their energy that did it in another lifetime? They don't need anybody to teach them. All they need is somebody to wake them up so that they remember what they were doing before. So I shake my head at stuff like that. But anyway, there's layers to this. And this is what I'm going to show you guys tonight. We're going to go, again, the macro energy. We're talking about problem solving. Now, I want to ask a question before we get started, because y'all know I like to give y'all a pop quiz. Let me ask y'all a question. And I do realize that there's a slight delay in me speaking and y'all getting it across on your end. So I'm going to ask y'all a question. I want to see who's been paying attention over the last several months. Okay. We're talking about the energy of the problem solver. So question number one, what zodiac sign is known for as the problem solvers of the zodiac? Somebody put that in the chat. Somebody put that in the chat. I'm gonna wait a few minutes because I know there's a slight delay. Somebody tell me what zodiac sign is known as the problem solver. I'll wait. And thank you, Tor Girl. I see a message you sent. I'm signing up for that class. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank y'all for the congrats. Any takers? What zodiac sign is known as the problem solver? Y'all hear me talk about it all the time. If y'all need a clue, since I don't see anything popping in yet, we just did. Yeah, they do. Thank you. That's what I was looking for, Workout Junkie. That's what I was looking out for. Virgo, yes, they do. Virgos are problem solvers too, but the difference between Virgo and Capricorn is Virgo's a little bit more focused on details. Capricorn's more focused on the plan. So that's the difference. Like Virgo rules over the 6th house of daily tasks. Capricorn rules over the 10th house of career. So typically when you're talking about the problem solvers, that credit typically goes to Capricorn. And yeah, Drew Jan, that is true too. In their respective the things that they're responsible for, like Aries. Aries is the general. They're the battlefield general. Cancer is the leader in the home. Libra is the thought leader, and Capricorn is the task leader. But when you're talking problem solving, Capricorn is typically known as the problem solvers of the zodiac. Okay. Now, next question. What is the ruling planet for Capricorn? I'll wait. Ruling planet for Capricorn. We're doing this together tonight, y'all. I could speed it up, but I want to chill and take my time tonight. All right. I don't have a lot, but this is gonna be one of them 2 fishes and 5 loaves of bread type of thing. All right. Okay. There's a lot that's gonna come out of this little bit that I got. Saturn, boom, you got it, hot shot. Saturn, you got it. And she would know that because as an Aquarius, Saturn also rules the sign of Aquarius, but Aquarius has its own planet, Uranus. Okay. It shares the planet with Saturn, but it's got its own planet as well, Uranus. Now, before I get started, for the record, let me say this: we're talking tropical astrology. I know last night I took y'all down the sidereal path. We're going back down. We're going back with tropical, which is my wheelhouse. Okay, so we're dealing with tropical, but it's the same. I mean, problem solver energy is problem solver energy. But just know that by default, unless Matt says anything different, by default, I'm always talking tropical astrology. Okay. So now I'm glad that you answered that question. It is Saturn, Toro girl. It is Saturn, hotshot. Y'all got it right. So that macro energy, now that we know what the problem solver energy is, Capricorn, and the ruling planet for Capricorn is, that macro energy is the planet. Macro energy is the planet. It's what everybody sees. When we go outside, no matter what city you live in America, when we go outside at night, we can look up at the sky and observe the visible planets. Saturn is one of them. It's dim, but you can see it with the naked eye. Okay. When you start talking Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, you're not seeing those with the naked eye. But Saturn, you can see that wandering star that some people call planets. You can see it with the naked eye. It's dim. Okay. You start coming in a little bit further. Jupiter's probably the bright. Let me take that back. Venus is the brightest planetary energy in the sky, followed by Jupiter. Okay. But Saturn, you can see it. So now, the macro energies, the planets, they're what everybody can observe, regardless of where you are on this realm. You can see those. The houses, the only people that can see your house are your neighbors or people that you know that come drive through your neighborhood. Those are the only people that can see your house. So the house is micro to the macro, the planet. The planet covers everything. The house covers what's in your general vicinity. They all work together. So the macro energy of the problem solver can be found in your Saturn sign. The micro energy is the second layer. It's the second level. It can be found by looking at what your 10th house sign is. I'm introducing y'all to the tools. We're going to put these tools together in a minute, and I'm going to show you how it works by providing you with a personal example. Okay. The macro energy, Saturn. That Saturn, your Saturn sign tells you on a grand scale how to, on a general, let me say general scale, okay? Your Saturn sign tells you or directs you on a general level in how to, or on how to solve your problems. Now, the micro energy is your 10th house sign. Why? Saturn rules over the 10th house. The 10th house is ruled by Capricorn, okay? Saturn rules, let me back that up. Saturn does rule over the 10th house naturally, but remember, the planets rule the signs and the signs rule the houses, okay? And the houses directly affect, all of those energies directly affect us, but the houses are closest to us, okay? Planets, the Most High rules the planets, the creator, the Lord of hosts, heavenly hosts. See how that works together? The Most High is the ruler and governor of these planetary energies. They work in concert with divine will. What is his will? What is his timing? Do they ever change trajectory? Can you see them do strange things? Go read the book of Joshua and read the book of Jasher. I mean, as an aside, you know what? I'm not going to go there. I'm going to save that for another day because y'all know I'm a Mercury and Sag. I can go off on a tangent and I want to stay focused. So the Most High rules the planets. The planets rule over the signs and the signs rule over the houses. Those are the layers. So when it comes to problem solving, the tools we're going to use are the macro energy, which is your Saturn sign, the micro energy, which is your 10th house sign. And then guess what? There are additional layers. I got a layer 3 or level 3 and a level 4 here. And technically there's a level 5 that I didn't put here. But you know what? Let me put it there. I'm not going to go through I'm not going to try to give you guys 5 layers of what do you call them? Matt drawing a blank. I'm not trying to give you guys 5 layers of links, okay? Timestamps, that's what I was looking for. But let me just put level 5 question mark here, because I may go through it depending on how much time we have. So macro is your Saturn sign. Micro is your 10th house sign. Level 3 energy is the ruling planet for your 10th house sign. We're talking about the tools that you're going to use to solve problems that appear in your life. Okay. Level 3 is your ruling planet of your 10th house sign. And then level 4 is the sign or constellation that your 10th house ruler resides in. Okay. I just put level 5 there with the double question mark, but this thing really does go 5 layers deep. I'll talk about that. You know what? I won't go through all of them, but I will talk about that level 5. This is one where y'all gonna have to catch it and do a little bit of deduction on your own. That's a bonus. With those of y'all that catch it, you'll catch it. For those of y'all that don't, I'm sorry. Okay, but I will give you what that level 5 looks like when I share with you my personal example. So now that I've introduced you to the signs, let me read some comments, and then I'm going to go through the Saturn signs. I'm going to go through the 10th house signs. And then for the 10th house rulers and signs that house those 10th house rulers, I'm going to use myself for an example. And then you know what? I'm going to do this too, because I got this in my notes. Again, I'm going to go through the Saturn signs, number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go through the 10th house signs, and those will be time stamped. Those will be time stamped. I've already started writing them down, or the layers or whatever. And then, or labels rather. And then for the 10th house rulers and the signs that house those 10th house rulers, I'm going to use myself for an example, and then I'm going to take up to 4 volunteers. So if I got 4 of you that want me to, for you, just tell you what your specific problem solver energy looks like, I'll do that for up to 4 of you guys, and then we'll end the video. Okay. So now let me read some comments, and then we're going to go through the Saturn signs. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Appreciate it. I really do. All right. Let's see. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see. My cousins would make fun of me saying I liked to listen to grown folks' conversation. Fair use. That's funny. Proverbs is the atlas for life. Yes, it is. I love Proverbs. Fair use. I love Proverbs. And if you want to read Proverbs on steroids, open up the Apocrypha and look at the book of Ecclesiasticus. That is Proverbs on steroids. Ecclesiasticus. All right. And shout out to that subscriber that a couple years ago said Ecclesiasticus. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. But that was a clever play on words. Anyway, let's see. Now, Proverbs is the atlas for life. Again, if you want Proverbs on steroids, check out Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. It's also known in some apocryphal presentations. It's called the Wisdom of Sirach. Okay. And I ain't talking about the Ciroc, the flavored vodka. I ain't talking about CIROC. I'm talking SIRACH. Okay. So now let's see. What else we got here? Complete and Whole T said, I carried my daughter and grandson and her son. How about that? See what I mean? This thing goes deep, y'all. It goes deep. It goes very deep. So, she said, oh my gosh, I'm late, but glad it's not too. You're right on time, Lady Dagger Status. Thank you for joining tonight. You are right on time. Okay, y'all. So we're all caught up. Let me now go through the Saturn signs. Remember, this is your macro energy. When you're talking about how do I solve problems, go planet first and then go house. And you don't have to go in this order, y'all. This is just what I do. A lot of times you can get the answer. You can leave the planet out. Sometimes you could jump right to the house. You can jump to your 10th house sign and say, okay, this is how. And sometimes you need to further clarify that by going to levels 3 and 4. And again, I'm going to give you a practical example when I share my story. But again, let's go through the Saturn signs, because this is to show you how unique your problem solving experience is. Okay. Now, so let me see. It is 3440. If your Saturn is in a sign of Aries, then your first high level or your level 1 problem solving has to deal with your being bold and your being direct. And in a lot of cases, being an army of one. And sometimes because Saturn is the fearless leader, basically, if you've got a Saturn in Aries, Saturn again being the ruler of the sign that is the problem solver, Capricorn, that makes Saturn the top level of problem solving. Look at your Saturn sign. The other thing about Saturn rules over task, right? Saturn rules over task. When you need to solve a problem, you got to go to task to do it. This is why we're looking at the Saturn sign, okay? The other thing that Saturn requires is patience. You can't rush when you're trying to solve a problem. You have to be patient. Just wanted to say that as an aside. So again, if your Saturn sign is in Aries, you need to be bold. You need to be fearless. You need to be direct. You need to be passionate about it. These are all fire energies, fire sign energies. You cannot be afraid to go it alone. Why? Because Aries rules over the first house of self. So when your Saturn is in Aries, you got to be fearless and willing to go it alone. Remember, astrology is a study of opposites. What's opposite? If you don't know what that Aries energy should look like with regards to problem solving, because you've got a Saturn in Aries, then look at Libra. Libra is the sign of partnership, right? And I'm skipping around a little bit, but if your Saturn is in Aries and Aries sits opposite Libra, that means you can't look for partnership when it comes to solving a problem. You have to be willing to do it by yourself. And if somebody wants to help you, or if you feel like you gotta recruit, remember, it's on the same axis. So in every Aries, there's a little bit of Libra. If you feel like you have to recruit or enlist the assistance of someone else, then you take the lead, Saturn in Aries. You take the lead for solving that problem. Don't be afraid to do it on your own, but if you have to enlist assistance, you have to lead. You can't follow. All right? That's Saturn in Aries. 3710. 3710. If you are a Saturn in Taurus, Saturn in Taurus, your problem solving may require you to solve that problem with money or material resources. It may require that you put a little bit of money behind solving that problem. Be willing to invest and be willing to spend in order to get that problem solved. Okay. But the other part of that Taurus energy is you have to be grounded and unwavering, unmovable. When you consider what that solution is, and a lot of times with that Saturn in Taurus, you're going to need to look at those other layers too. But we're just dealing with that highest layer right now. Okay? Excuse me for a second. That Saturn in Taurus, that's a Venus ruled planet. We're going to talk about that stuff in a minute, the planetary rulers in a minute. But you also have to be graceful in it. I know the bull ain't necessarily graceful like Libra energy you would see because that's balanced. Both of those are Venus ruled signs. But you need to think about Venus. What would Venus do? You may need to show a little bit of love. I ain't talking about the emotion piece that you're going to get with the moon, but you may need to put a little bit of love and TLC into that problem solving. That problem solving may require you to go within and do a little, isolate yourself from everyone and do what Tauruses do well. Self-care. You got a problem, you just can't figure it out. Take a break and say, you know what, man, I got to take a break on this. Let me go and cook me a meal or something and just give myself a mental break and go, let me go watch my favorite show for a minute. I'm going to chill. I'm going to take my head off of it. I ain't going to let nobody disturb me. Maybe I just need to go relax and it'll come to me as I'm relaxing. That's very real if your Saturn is in Taurus. Okay. Those are just some suggestions. For more information, look up the characteristics of that sign that I'm saying tonight. Okay. That's Saturn in Taurus. Hi, we're talking about level 1, macro level problem solving. Now, Saturn in Gemini, we say 30, 39, 30. If your Saturn is in Gemini, let's say 39, 20, 39, 30 is fine. If your Saturn is in Gemini, what do you have to do to solve problems? The first thing you need to do is gather information. Gather information. Gemini rules over the third house that deals with information. It deals with learning. Gather that information so that you can learn about this thing that's giving you a problem. You may need to hit the books. You may need to watch a YouTube video. You got to collect information on that. The other thing you got to do, we talked about this last night. You got to open up your mouth and talk. You got a problem. You got to first declare, hey, this problem is going to be solved. I have solved this problem. Speak it. And anybody can do that, y'all. That's not specific to Gemini. It is just supercharged again when you have that placement in that type of sign. But anybody can do that. Anybody can speak. What does the scripture say? Speak those things that are not as though they were. So declare that this problem is solved and then get into your problem solving energy. Gemini, your Saturn's in Gemini, gather information. Gather information on that problem. Learn about it. How you learn about it is up to you. You can read a book. You can look it up on the web. You can go talk to somebody that has seen hey, has anybody seen a problem like this before? Get on your social media channels. Has anybody ever seen this type of problem? Somebody is bound to know it. Okay? So you want to communicate, you want to gather knowledge, you want to learn about it. Maybe it's a problem that requires you to take a class. You know what? I need to take a class on this. I need to take an online class. All right? And Gemini is about speed and efficiency. So, move with a little bit of purpose, but don't rush. Because again, you're talking about Saturn. Saturn ain't going to let you rush. Saturn is not going to let you rush anyway. So be diligent, be studious, be diligent, and be communicative if you are trying to solve a problem and your Saturn is in Gemini. If you're not communicating and you're not, especially if that problem is with somebody, if you're not talking to them, how can you expect to solve that problem? It's not just going to go away on its own. So you have to communicate. You have to communicate. Okay. Now, moving on, we've got 4151. If your Saturn is in Cancer, what's that? Cancer, think about, here's where I'm going to jump to that ruling planet a little bit. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon rules over emotions. Okay. Cancer also rules over the fourth house of family and home. So if you're trying to solve a problem and your Saturn is in Cancer, go to your family. Seek your family's assistance. Okay? Seek your family's assistance. Get your emotions in check. If your Saturn is in Cancer, get your emotions in check. And boom, here comes the coup de grace. If your Saturn is in Cancer, you got to tap in to your heart space and your emotions. What does your heart say? What does my heart say about how to solve this problem? Listen to your heart. Take your mind away from it. The mind is in the third house. That's the conscious mind is in the third house. That's Mercury. That's Gemini. Okay. That fourth house is about heart. Now you're getting out of that third eye chakra and jumping down to that heart. Okay. You got to get down in that heart space. What is my heart telling me is the answer to this problem? Sometimes that requires you to be still and listen. Y'all going to see that come up when I get to my personal example. I'm not a Saturn in Cancer, but I'm going to show y'all how that energy works when I get to my personal example. So if your Saturn is in the sign of Cancer, you may need to just go home. That's almost like that Taurus energy a little bit, right? Saturn, Taurus and Cancer are very similar signs. One's water, one's earth, but they're very similar signs. You may need to just go home, sit at home. Something about being at home may bring that answer to you. I'm telling y'all how to operate these energies. And this is just the first level. This is level 1. This is the macro. Get in your heart space and then trust what your heart is telling you. Your heart is never wrong. Your gut's never wrong. Those two things. Okay. Your Saturn is in Cancer. Cancer rules over the fourth house of home and family and your emotions. So if you're emotionally all over the place and your Saturn's in Cancer, remember, Saturn is about taking your time, moving methodically. So the first thing you need to do if you have a problem and your Saturn is in the sign of Cancer is you probably need to calm down and get your emotions in check. Remember, whatever energy, emotional frequency you are vibrating at, you're going to attract that. So if you're in low vibrational energy with regards to that problem, you're upset, you're scared, you're nervous, you cannot attract a high vibrational answer. So the first thing you got to do is steady your emotions and say, you know what? Declare what I just said a minute ago. My problem is already solved. and calm yourself. All right. Those are just some ideas. Again, look up the characteristics of Cancer if you want more information. Now, if your Saturn is in the sign of Leo, 45-minute mark. If your Saturn is in the sign of Leo and you need to solve a problem, I just talked about the fourth house. I just talked about Cancer ruling over the fourth house of home, family, and your emotions. Guess what? Leo rules over that fifth house. That fifth house is about creativity. It's about creativity. It's about passions. It's about creativity. It is about strength. Leo is the sign of strength. If your Saturn is in Leo, you got to stand strong. That's almost like that Taurus energy with that bull. If you're trying to solve that problem, you got to stand 10 toes down when that solution comes to you. And you're like, nah, nothing outside of me is going to change my mind now. This is what I'm going to do. That's Taurus characteristics. Anybody out there watching that's a sun in Taurus, you already know what I'm talking about. When your mind is made up, nobody's going to change it. So with Leo, Leos are very similar. It's a fixed sign, just like Taurus is. It ain't moving. Be unmovable, but be fierce like the lion. Be fearless like the lion. Be not afraid to take charge like the lion. Okay. But more importantly, we're talking about some problem solving. So all of those are supportive actions. But what you need to do is be confident, because Leo is ruled by the sun, which rules over the solar plexus chakra, which is where we get our strength, determination, and confidence. So if your Saturn is in Leo and you need to solve a problem, the first thing you need to do is be confident that you are going to get that solution. And not just get it. How you get it is you're going to come up with it. Leo rules over the fifth house of creativity. So you are going to be creative about creating the solution. You're going to be creative. That problem solving for you, Saturn and Leo, is going to require creativity. Creativity, determination, ferocity. The lion is ferocious. Okay? And it's going to require a bright and sunny disposition. Kind of the same thing I just said with the and the other thing, Leo rules over the fifth house, which is ruled by the sun, which rules over the solar plexus, which is located in the gut. Y'all remember some videos ago I talked about the core, the unified core that you have in your body, that seven energy. That seven energy is formed by the combination of that fourth chakra, which is the heart, and that third chakra, which is the solar plexus, that is the masculine energy that sits beneath the feminine heart to support it. So your gut always knows, your heart always knows. We're talking about Saturn and Leo. That ultimately is going to point back to your gut. So whatever you feel in your gut is the right answer. The gut holds no doubt. The heart really holds no doubt. The doubt comes into play when we start getting into that third eye chakra. That's why the scripture says, walk by faith and not by sight. Faith is a product of that feminine core and that masculine core. That masculine core is the solar plexus. That feminine core is the heart. You don't need to see to feel the heart. You don't need to see to know in your gut. That's solar plexus. So know that the answer that you have created and come up with is going to be the right one and is going to do that for you. That is Saturn in Leo. Okay. 4830. If your Saturn is in the sign of Virgo, then what you need to do is you need to be very analytical. You need to pay attention to details if your Saturn's in Virgo and you need to solve a problem. The first thing you need to do is pay attention to the details of that perceived problem. And because it is ultimately ruled by Mercury, like Gemini, you need to gather that data too. Gemini is just a masculine Virgo when it comes to how they process information, because they both are ruled by Mercury. So when it comes to Mercury and Mercury activities, Gemini is a masculine Virgo. Virgo is a feminine Gemini. That's the difference. Okay. So if your Saturn's in Virgo and you need to solve a problem, it's all in the details. It is in the details. Gather details and analyze them. Okay. And Virgo also, because it's ruled by Mercury, is a communicative sign. What a lot of Virgos I know love to do, they love to ask questions. That makes people uncomfortable sometimes. They're like, why are you grilling me? But that's the nature of that Virgo. That Virgo is answering the questions so that they can come up with a solution. Shout out to Tour Girl. She mentioned earlier that Virgo is a sign of the problem solver. It is at a micro level. At the macro level is Capricorn. I often use the military analogy of tactical versus strategic. Virgo is tactical. They care about the tactics. Capricorn, being a cardinal sign, cares about the strategy. This is the Capricorn is going to be the general. The Virgo is going to be either the executive officer or the non-commissioned officer, that sergeant that's on the ground, that's leading the battle from the ground. The general is leading it from the command center, the command and control center, wherever that is. That sergeant is doing it on the ground. So that Virgo energy is about the details. This is what I see. This is what I observe. This is collect the details and then analyze them. They both solve problems. One cares about the tactics. The other one cares about the overall strategy. When you get to Capricorn and you start getting too heavy in the details, Capricorn get bored quick. Look, this is what we need to get done. Virgo cares about the details. Whoa, slow down. Let's pay attention to the details. How are we going to do it? Capricorn says, this is what we're going to do. Virgo says, this is how we're going to do it. That's how that works. So if your Saturn is in Virgo and you need to solve a problem, the biggest thing that you need to do is gather the details, pay attention to the details, gather the information, and then analyze it. Okay. And you may need to talk. You may need to talk it through. Okay. So that is Saturn and Virgo. 5120 5120 5131. Let's see. 51, let's say 5135. If your Saturn is in Libra, let's see. Hang on one second, y'all. Okay. All right. So anyway, back to my point here. Let's say 5156. If your Saturn is in Libra, Libra is, I just talked about it being opposite Aries. Libra is a couple things going on here. If you need to solve a problem and your Saturn is in Libra, Libra is an air sign. Air signs are about thought and communication. And it's a Libra is a thought leader. Their communication, they're a leader in speech, they're a leader in thought. It's a cardinal sign. So that's the energy of Libra. Don't be afraid to take the lead on a conversation. Okay. Number two, if your Saturn's in Libra, understand that you are going to best solve problems via the energy of partnership. You need to get it. You need to get a partner. You can do it by yourself because in every Libra is an Aries, but your best problem solving is going to come through partnership. Hey, seek a partner that has the knowledge of what it is that you're trying to solve and partner with them. Okay. The other thing too is you have to be diplomatic. Libra is the energy of the diplomat. So sometimes problem solving for a Saturn in Libra involves negotiation. Libras are excellent negotiators. They're excellent negotiators. The guy I used to work for when I was in corporate America, anytime they needed to land a big deal or sign a new contract with one of our big accounts, they made sure he was there. Libra is the sign of the harmonizer. So make sure you are harmonizing anybody that you are leading. Remember, it's a thought leader. So anybody that you are enlisting the assistance of, like Aries, don't be afraid to take the lead. It's a cardinal sign. But you have to, it's an air sign. So you want to make sure that you're communicating. You want to make sure that you are sharing, because Libra, again, is about partnership. And you also want to make sure, again, that you're partnering with someone, that you're balancing, that you're communicating. And the most important thing for you to do when you have a Saturn in Libra and you're trying to solve problems is y'all hear me talk about this a lot. Libra rules over the seventh house, that number seven, that seven energy. There's 7 principles of Mayat. Study the 7 principles of Mayat and make sure that you're incorporating those into your problem solving. Are we operating in truth? Is this balanced? Is this problem solving require everything should, but that's the 7 principles of Mayat. But how can I keep this thing balanced? Equal give and take, equal input and output with regards to the solution to solving this problem. That's just at the high level. Understand this too, that Saturn in Libra is considered an exalted position. meaning that it's one of the easiest Saturnian places. It is the easiest. It is the easiest. So even though Capricorn is at home in the sign, or that even though Saturn's at home in the sign of Capricorn, when Saturn's in Libra, that is the easiest placement. It's considered an exalted placement. Why? Because to deal with that problem, you will do well and fare well in the energy of partnership. So Saturn and Libra, we're dealing with the high level. I'm getting down. When I get to that 10th house, y'all going to see how all of this clicks together. Okay? So that's Saturn and Libra. Y'all see how little time I spent on that, right? Just, hey, let Saturn and Libra partner with somebody to help you solve your problems. Okay? But make sure you're partnering with somebody that's going to be balanced and energy, right? What does the scripture say? Not to be unequally yoked with a non-believer. That applies to problem solving for you if you are trying to fix a problem or resolve a problem or come up with a solution, Saturn and Libra. Because that's partnership energy, you have to be especially careful not to enlist the assistance of a partner that's supposed to be helping you to balance that load, but you're doing more than they are. And you also don't want to enlist the assistance of somebody that's doing more than you are, because then they're probably going to get tired and like, hey man, I'm the only one pulling the load here. This person brought me in to help and they're not doing anything. So make sure that you maintain that delicate balance, Saturn and Libra. All right. Talking about high level problem solving. Next, if you're let's say 5620, if your Saturn is in the sign of Scorpio is the energy of the seer. Okay. Scorpio is the energy of the seer. Let me tell you also. So if you are dealing with a problem that you need to resolve and your Saturn is in the sign of Scorpio, understand this. One of the scorpionic characteristics is observation and waiting for the right moment to make your move. Observation, waiting for the right moment to make your move, and keeping your moves in silence. Think about the archetype. Think about the avatar for the Scorpio. It's the Scorpion. The Scorpion has a deadly stinger, but the disadvantage for that Scorpion is its size. A larger enemy could easily crush that Scorpion. So that Scorpion's advantage is its ability to observe from an obscured point of view, from an obscured location. It can hide itself, but at a vantage point that allows it to see everything and wait for the right opportunity to strike. So when you are a Saturn in Scorpio and you need to solve a problem, it's definitely going to require patience, but you have to act quickly when the moment is right for you to solve that problem. Okay. The other thing too is because Scorpio is the sign of the alchemist. One of the ways that you're going to solve problems is by simply changing the nature of what that problem is. Hey, you know what? I have the ability to alchemize this and turn it into all of a sudden not a problem. I can make this problem turn into something that can work to my advantage. Alchemize it. That's the power of Scorpio energy. Alchemize it. Okay. Now, this may seem like it's going left for some of you, but I have to say it because it is true. Because Scorpio also rules over the 8th house of intimacy. Sometimes the act of intimacy with a high level partner, make sure it is I say high level, I meant to say high vibrational. Make sure that your vibrations are high first. You can't solve a problem reliably if you're in the wrong vibration. I don't care what your sign is. You have to be in a high vibrational frequency to solve a problem. So with that being in the sign of Scorpio, you're able to sometimes through sacred energy exchange with a high vibrational partner, find that solution to the problem. Okay. And remember too, Scorpio it sits opposite Taurus. Taurus is me energy. Scorpio is we energy. So this is y'all, I'm going a little bit, this part ain't for the kids, but a lot of people don't understand Tantra, what Tantra really is, what it's really about. It's spiritual alchemy through sacred energy exchange with another high vibrational partner. Now, are there low vibrational beings that attempt to do Tantra too? They do. But it never gives off the light energy of high vibrational partners. So with a Saturn in Scorpio, that's another That is another way that you can solve problems. That's a high level problem solving energy. Okay. But keep in mind, you have to move in silence when you're trying to solve a problem. Telling somebody about what it is that you're trying to solve or talking to somebody else, that could get you, that could get that scorpion crushed. So you have to move in silence to solve a problem when your Saturn is in the sign of Scorpio. The other thing with that too is you have to, I talked about being patient. I talked about waiting for the right moment. Keep it high vibrational. I had a thought and it just left me. Saturn in Scorpio. I had a beautiful thought and it just left me. If it comes back to me, I'll come back around. But that is gosh, what was that? It just left me. This is what happens when you've had a long day. Saturn in Scorpio, problem solving. I talked about the sacred energy exchange. I talked about alchemy. I talked about changing the alchemizing the problem to where it's not a problem. It'll come back to me, especially when we get down into the houses. So, all right. So moving on. 1 hour and 55 minutes. If your Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius, wisdom, operate in wisdom. Okay. Wisdom. You have to, Saturn is the sign, Sagittarius is the sign of the wise sage. So be wise, be expansive. Okay. Saturn being ruled, Sagittarius being ruled by Jupiter, in my opinion, that is a bit of an offset. That's an offset. When you got the energy of abundance and the energy of what some people call luck being in the sign of karmic lessons and life lessons, that's a little bit of an offset. So if your Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius, don't be afraid to go look for it. Don't be afraid to search. Number one, don't be afraid to search and go scout for the solution. Get out of your current locale. Go look for it. If the problem ain't right there, if the solution to the problem is not readily available, go and look for it. This is another place where you may seek it in higher or in a institution of higher learning. That's Saturn. Praying about it. Sagittarius. I said Saturn. Praying about it. Sagittarius rules over the 9th house of religion. So praying about it, meditating, fasting, and waiting to get into some sort of spiritual practice. I know spirituality lives in the 12th house as well, but it also is in the 9th house. It's just that the religious framework of it is in the 9th house, where you don't see that religious framework of it in the 12th house. But Sagittarius rules over that 9th house of religion as well. So maybe you pray. Okay, maybe you go seek the advice of, for what it was worth once upon a time, a clergy person or a religious leader. And I'm not saying that there still aren't good ones out there, but tap into your higher self and say, hey, tell me who it is I need to go and seek this answer from. Point me in the direction of someone that is wise, or Holy Spirit, fill me with the wisdom that I need to solve this problem. Sagittarius is the sign of the sage, the wise one. Okay. That answer may be found by going to traveling or hitting up someone that is not like you, a foreigner, someone that is foreign to you. It could be somebody in another state, could be somebody in another country, could be somebody of another culture, another ethnic background, whatever. These are options for you if your Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius. But just know that it is a big, expansive sign. So do not allow yourself to be constricted. Be expansive. Be wise. And don't be afraid to travel. Don't be afraid to travel if your Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius as well. Don't be afraid to travel. And again, y'all, I know I'm drawing a blank now a little bit, because it's getting, I've had a long day. But if you want more information, just look up what the characteristics of Sagittarius are. Whatever your sign is, look up those characteristics, and you'll probably get something that perhaps I did not cover. So that's Saturn and Sagittarius. Also understand this, that know this, okay? Know this. Because the ruling planet of Sagittarius is Jupiter, that's a very auspicious placement for problem solving. Just know, hey, you know what? My Saturn is Sagittarius. My Saturn is in Sagittarius. So the answer is going to come to me. I'm going to solve this problem. This is a gift of mine. I'm a gifted problem solver if my Saturn is in Sagittarius, or my Saturn or my Sagittarius is in the 9th house. I talked about that in another video. Just know that this is a gift for you. So you're going to get that answer. All you got to do is not doubt. All you got to do is not doubt. Just know it's going to come to you. It's going to come, because that is a very auspicious placement. So that's Saturn in Sagittarius. Next, Saturn in Capricorn, 104.55. If your Saturn is in Capricorn, guess what? It's at home. It's at home. So if your Saturn is in Capricorn, for you to solve that problem, you need to understand that all you got to do is persevere. Persevere. Capricorn is the sign of perseverance. It is going to persevere. Taurus is a lot like that too. But we're dealing, because it's another grounded earth energy, and it's the bull, and that bull is going to hold his ground. But with Saturn in Capricorn, just know that there's no problem that you cannot solve. That is the sign of the achiever. That, look at that study, go watch some video on that mountain goat. That mountain goat traverses terrain that no other animal, no other four-legged animal can traverse. So just know that in time, I'm going to solve this problem. All you have to do is be patient and persevere. That's Capricorn. Capricorn, you're a natural problem solver. So it's going to be very easy for you if you have a Saturn in Capricorn. Know your energy, okay? Next, 106. Let's say 106. If your Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius, you got to be unconventional. To solve that problem, you got to think outside of the box. Aquarius is an air sign. Air signs rule over thought and speech. Okay? So if your Saturn is in Aquarius, for you to solve that problem, you have to think outside of the box. You got to be innovative. And you got to understand that the way that you solve problems is not like the way everybody else does it. I'm not saying that you can't look at how other people solve problems, but Saturn in Aquarius, if you are looking at how other people solve problems, you should be looking at it to see perhaps where they struggled and how you can improve on it. How you can improve on it. Maybe they did solve that problem, but it took them months. You look at it and see how it can be improved upon. Okay? Aquarius sits across from Leo. Leo is the sign of the creator. Aquarius is the sign of the innovator. Leo creates things. Aquarius recreates them or makes them better. Okay, so if you need to look at what somebody else is doing, look at how it can be improved upon. But remember that the Aquarius is the sign of that quirky, unconventional, I don't do it like everybody else does it energy. So problem solving for you is going to require you to think outside of the box and do it in a way that is perhaps different than somebody else. It may require you to do it in a way that has never been done before. But guess what? If anybody can do it in a way that has never been done before, it is you, because Aquarius is the sign of unconventionality. Capricorn is the sign of convention, tradition, convention, that sort of thing. Aquarius, which follows it, says, nah, we're breaking away from tradition. We're breaking away from convention. Convention ain't going to work for what I need to do. Convention is not going to work for this problem. I got to go unconventional. I got to do it different than everybody else does. So this is going to sound cliche, but if you need to solve a problem and your Saturn is in Aquarius, dare to be different. Okay? Now, last but not least, Pisces. If your Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, you got to be a dreamer. You have to be a dreamer. You have to be a visionary. You have to, and visionary energy, you're already picking up some of that runoff from Aquarius, because Aquarians are visionaries too. They have a vision of how things could be better. But the visionary energy that you find in Pisces is something that is completely new. I have a vision for something new. Remember, Pisces is the rule of the 12th house, which leads to the first house. I have a vision for something new. That new thing proceeds when it hits that first house with Aries. That's the cycle of life, okay? That's the cycle of existence. So getting back to Pisces, if your Saturn's in Pisces and you need to solve a problem, you got to go spiritual. You got to block the world out. You got to shut the world out. Go within, meditate. Your answers are going to come from across that 12th house bridge. Remember, Pisces rules over the bridge that connects heaven and earth, the bridge that connects the physical realm from the spiritual realm, the bridge that connects the current life to past lives. Maybe if your Saturn is in Pisces, maybe you need to do a past life regret. Maybe you're dealing with a long-standing problem that you don't have the answers for, but there's something there in your subconscious, because remember, Pisces rules over the subconscious. So maybe you need to have a past life hypnosis therapy session in order to bring that thing up out of your subconscious into your conscious mind. The solution's there. That was the premise of the book that I read a few years ago titled Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. That past life hypnosis session or past life regression therapy, which is hypnosis, it's guided hypnosis. That was how he was able to help this young lady that had a problem with her relationships. He was able to hypnotize her, help her to access. He didn't access it. All he did was help guide her into her subconscious, where she was able to pull up those past life memories and get the solution to the problem that she was having that she could not solve otherwise. Think about that. If your Saturn is in Pisces, your high level problem solving energy requires you to go spiritual. You need to pray. You need to meditate. You need to go within. Some people, I'm not recommending this, but I've heard some people have gone on like ayahuasca retreats to pull that information out. That's just an example. You do what you do. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just giving you the examples. Some of these, a ayahuasca retreat is something that a Saturn in Pisces might do to solve a problem. Okay, go with somebody you trust that's got your back. If you're gonna do that, I'm all about security. Maybe that's the soldier in me, but anyway, if you're gonna do something like that, you make sure you use the buddy system. I'm all about that. Make sure you use the buddy system and somebody you trust. But those are just some suggestions. Pisces, you got to go spiritual. You maybe go within. Back to Luke 17:21. Go within. Ask your inner self. Ask your higher self. Ask your ancestors. Some of our ancestors leave. Some of our family members that leave before us become ancestors. They become our spirit guides to continue guiding us through the rest of our incarnate life. Y'all hear me talk about my beloved Aunt May a lot. She comes through. She comes through. She only comes through when it's an extreme and she needs to slap me upside my head. But her energy comes through. How do I know? Do I see an apparition? No. But you know that the energy that is communicating with you matches the energy of this person when they were in life. That's how you know who it is. That's how you know when one of your ancestors is communicating with you. For all of the people that think talking about ancestors is somehow wicked or evil, they're there. Energy never dies. It just changes form. Water, this water I'm drinking right here, if I cool it to 32 degrees or below, it's going to change form to ice, but it's still water. This water I'm drinking right here, if I heat it up to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, it's going to become vapor, but it's still water. It's the same with us. Okay. That was Saturn in Pisces. And now I'm going to take a break. Okay. And y'all, I did this again where I get to Saturn in Pisces and don't write down the time marker. I'll if somebody remembers it and they want to put it in the comment underneath the video, let me know. But if I don't see it when I rewatch the video, I'll know that it's coming after Saturn in Aquarius. So let me take a break here and read some comments, and then we're going to move over to your 10th house sign, which is the micro energy. I gave y'all the macro, the micro, which is that 10th house energy. That's going to be more focused. That's going to be hyper focused. Let me look at some comments, y'all. Thank y'all for being here tonight. And anybody new coming in that hasn't done so already, please tap that like button for me, okay? Thank y'all. All right. What's up, Licious Booty? Y'all know I love that name. What's up, Licious Booty? Licious Booty 07. What's up? All right. Secrets release Saturn and Aries. All right. You got your marching orders, Secrets. Nikki, you have your marching orders. I need to slow down. We're talking about Saturn. I need to slow down. Nikki, you have your marching orders. Okay. All right. Greatest video intro song acapella on the internet. Nikki, y'all check her channel out. Secrets Released. She drops a lot of nuggets on there. Okay. Fair You said her Saturn's in Pisces. You got your marching orders. Okay. Let's see. Licious Booty says Saturn is a restricting or delaying planet. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But Saturn, it looks like you came in late. Saturn is also the as ruler of the sign of Capricorn, and Capricorn is the energy of the problem solver. Your Saturn sign tells you the high level problem solving energy that you hold, or the high level problem solving energy that is you. So yes, all of those things, Licious Booty, are correct. Saturn is a restricting and a delaying planet, but it is also how you solve problems. But those of y'all that remember that Saturn video I did a couple of years ago, I think I still got it marked as unlisted. I need to put it back to public and make that. I just need to reopen those videos because I'm not doing anything with Patreon. That's not something I'm supposed to be doing right now in my life. So I'll bring those videos back and make them public again. But for those of y'all that remember that Saturn series I did, y'all might remember that I mentioned when it comes to your Saturn house restriction, the way you free up that restriction is by operating in the energy that is your Saturn sign. Okay? So that's problem solving. You got a problem. Hey, I got this problem. Saturn is restricting me in this house. Saturn is restricting you for a couple of reasons. It's restricting you because there's some other things that you need to do. And if that house weren't restricted, you might be operating in the energy of that house and not get the other stuff done. I talked about that. It restricts you to protect you from yourself while you are growing and while you're working through your paces. But the only key to unlocking that Saturn house restriction or that delayed gratification is by operating in the energy of your Saturn sign. All right. So this video is going to serve you tonight. It's going to serve you, but there's some other ways to do it too. And we're going to get on into them. The second layer, which is the micro energy. And then we're going to get into the third and fourth houses. We're talking about problem solving. Okay. Thank y'all for being here. She said, wow, thank you so much, Matt. This is truly blessing me and speaking to my spirit. You're very welcome, Workout Junkie. Stick around because it gets better. It gets better. All right. Lady Dagestata said, I was actually pleased and upset when I heard and learned about the 7 places of Mayat because it was knowledge the church would say is wicked and I should stay away from. That's true, Lady Dagestata. And the funny thing is, I had boys that were telling me this. Some of my partners I went to high school with, they were telling me this years ago when I was too Christian to hear it. But they were saying, Matt, you know, the 10 commandments are a subset of the 42 laws of Mayat. I was like, man, get away from me. I don't want to hear none of that stuff. But go look up the 42 laws of Mayat. Oddly enough, you're going to find the 10 commandments in there. Okay. So which came first? The 42 laws of Mayat or the 10 commandments? The 42 laws of Mayat were there already. Moses knew them. Why? Because he was raised in those schools. Joseph knew them. Joseph, who preceded Moses, knew them. Okay. Abraham knew them. Did he learn them there or did he teach them to the ancient Kemetic people? That's a story for argument. That's an argument for another. That's a lot of scholars argue that. A lot of scholars say that Abraham, because he came from Mesopotamia and ancient Sumeria, that the Chaldeans were the original scientists and astrologers and doctors and alchemists and stuff like that. So that knowledge was already there. Abraham would have already had that knowledge when he went to Kemet. But people argue over that. People get in their ego. I could care less. The knowledge is the knowledge. Whoever had it first, that ain't even worth arguing to me. But anyway, yeah. So thank you for adding that comment, Lady Dagger Status. Let's see. She said, I will come back to you if it was meant to. It will come back to you if it was meant to. Let us know. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It didn't come back to. So I think I got everything I needed to get out there. She said, I did used to call myself a bridge builder, even had cards made up. Wow. Said, death is the gateway to infinity. Thank you for that, Maddie Talbot. Oh, I appreciate that fair use. And she said, the Pharaoh. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm caught up on the comments. Now, y'all, we're going to run through these houses. Let me make sure I'm staying on my notes. Okay. All right, so I did the macro energy, which is the Saturn sign. That's the foundation. You don't have a house without a foundation. The foundation for your problem solving is always going to be your Saturn sign. A lot of us ignore that, y'all, until this download came to me, until I was taught by the Most High, till I was taught by the Spirit, till I was taught by the Divine, till I was taught by the universal I am or the universal I exist power. So I was taught by a higher, which means I exist or I will exist. I ignored my Saturn sign when it came to problem solving. But all of this came together beautifully, y'all. And I'm going to show it to you, especially when I get to the example and share my example. Let's move on now to the micro energy of your problem solving, which is I call level 2. And that's your 10th house sign. This is where it starts getting good, y'all. This is where it starts getting good. So 10th house. The 10th house is what? We often look at the 10th house as career. It's the midheaven, okay? It's the highest point in the astrological wheel on the natal chart. The midheaven is the highest point, okay? That's why some people, Some people who are Capricorn sons, they're like, y'all know we rule the zodiac, right? Don't start throwing tomatoes at the screen, all right? I didn't say it. I'm just telling you what some other people have said. But that midheaven or that 10th house sits at the highest point on the chart, okay? And a lot of people just talk about the 10th house as being the house of career. But what the Most High showed me is that the 10th house also represents the energy that you need to use to solve problems. And it's going to be unique for everybody. Everybody, I'm going to repeat this again. Everybody does not fare well trying to solve problems the same way. If you're a different energy, what you look like trying to solve a problem? What does Libra look like trying to solve a problem by going to war? That's what Aries does, that sits opposite it. What is Aries? Aries doesn't do a good job negotiating. How does Aries look trying to solve a problem by negotiating? Aries is the energy of self, and it's also the sign of the warrior. So if Aries got to solve a problem, best believe heads are going to roll. If Libra's got to solve a problem, they're going to sit down, put on some nice clothes, have a nice conversation with you over some tea or something like that. They're going to listen to you. They're going to say their part. They're going to listen to your part. They're going to try to find that balance and negotiate. Everybody doesn't solve problems the same way. Okay? Know that first. Now, let's get into this. Your 10th house. Your 10th house is also Matt, why are you saying the 10th house is the micro energy for how you solve problems? Because the 10th house naturally is ruled by Capricorn, which is the energy of the achiever and the problem solver. You want to achieve resolution to a challenge. Capricorn is the energy of the overcomer. It overcomes obstacles and climbs to the top. That makes it the energy of the problem solver as well. I've never met a Capricorn that couldn't solve a problem in one way, shape, or form. To find out how they solve that problem, is best to look at what they're not just the sun sign. Yeah, he's a Capricorn sun. What house is that sun in? I'm a Capricorn sun in the 3rd house. So I solve problems through knowledge, communication, and knowledge and communicating and learning. Learning is a part of knowledge. Okay. Anyway, so let me get off that. Let's get on to it. If you're wait a minute. I wrote that down wrong, y'all. I was supposed to write these by the sign. Hold on a second, y'all. Hold on. Let me do this right. Taurus, Gemini, Gem, Can, Leo, Virgo, Libra. This is what happens when you had a long day, okay? Scorpio. No excuses, though. No excuses. I see the problem, I'll fix it. All right. Cap, Aqua, and Pisces. Okay. So your 10th house sign next. That's the micro energy for how you solve problems. If your 10th house is in Aries, it's going to look a lot like, let me see. Let's say 12240. If your 10th house is in Aries, real simple. Okay. You're going to solve problems by tackling it head on. You're going to solve problems by tackling it head on. That's your 10th house. Look at your 10th house sign. Y'all, and it may not even be necessary for me to timestamp these. So maybe I don't need timestamps here. Okay, just refer to if you're watching this video on demand and you want to look for your 10th house sign, just look at the Saturn sign, because it's going to be the same energy. Okay, look at the timestamp for Aries. I said Saturn sign. Yeah, look at the Saturn signs. Find your Saturn sign, or find that corresponding sign underneath the Saturn signs. If your 10th house is in the sign of Aries, you already know what to do with that. You're going to solve problems by being direct. Okay. Same thing with being direct, being fearless, being ferocious, being passionate, being a passionate leader. Y'all, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to be redundant. Look for, I just went through all of the signs underneath Saturn. It's the same for the 10th house. Whatever your 10th house sign is, find it in that Saturn sign list. And that's going to be how you're going to solve that problem. Let me skip on past that now. Okay. Let me skip on past that and now get on to the next layer. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I didn't need to go through all of those again. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for that wisdom. Now, level 3 energy is the ruling planet of your 10th house sign. That's your level 3. So your foundation, your macro problem solving energy is going to be found by looking at your Saturn sign and understanding how that sign solves problems. I just gave you guys Aries through Pisces. The next layer you're going to do is you're going to look at what is your 10th house sign. And for me, honestly, y'all, to be completely honest and transparent, I've learned to look at my 10th house sign first. I fall back to my foundation. I'm gonna be transparent here. I'm a Saturn in Gemini. But my 10th house sign is Cancer. In fact, I have two energies because I use the Placidus system. A lot of people use equal sign. A lot of people use whole house, or a lot of people use whole sign, equal house, or is it whole house, equal sign? I get those two mixed up because, to be honest with you, I don't use those. I'm a Placidus guy. I like Placidus because Placidus is the only system that will show you where you have intercepted houses, well, or intercepted signs, intercepted houses. What does that look like? That looks like my chart. Okay, I'm a Libra rising. Y'all know that. But my 4th house has two energies in it. It's got Capricorn and Aquarius, which means my 10th house has two energies in it, Cancer and Leo. Okay. All right. So if you're, based on whatever your 10th house sign is, go back and look at that Saturn sign list and you'll have your answer for how to micro focus on that problem solving. Look at your 10th house sign. What sign do I have in my 10th house? That's what my approach to problem solving needs to be. Okay. All right. So I don't need to run through those. If your 10th house is in Aries, go and look at that Aries sign. If your 10th house is in Taurus, look at the Taurus timestamp. If it's in Gemini, look at the Gemini timestamp. If it's in Cancer, look at the Cancer's timestamp, so on and so forth. Okay. Now let's move on to level 3 energy. That level 3 problem solving energy is to look at the ruling planet of your 10th house sign. And I'm not going to timestamp these, but I will go through them. Okay. If we're talking the next layer, top layer or foundation is your Saturn sign. For me, it's going to be Saturn in Gemini. But my second level is my 10th house sign, which has two energies, Cancer and Leo. I'm going to give you guys an example when I get done with these. Okay. So that's where I fall back to next. I look at my 10th house sign. Okay. Well, Matt's problem solving, and I'm going to use myself for example just for speed's sake. Okay. Matt's problem solving, his primary problem solving energy is Gemini. Needs to gather information. He needs to make sure he's being communicative. He's talking. He's sharing, whatever. That's that. He may need to take a class. He may need to go and learn the fundamentals of whatever that issue is that is presenting itself to him. For example, I'm still dealing with an issue in my yard where I have a little bit of foliage covering a yellow jacket nest. Okay, an in-ground yellow jacket nest. I've hit it. I've gone after it. I've tried different things, but I've watched videos on how people deal with this themselves. Now, a lot of y'all are gonna go and what I would tell you, here's the difference. I'm a 10th house, or I'm a Saturn in Gemini. So my first level is, hey, you know what? You get gathering information. But guess what? A Saturn in Gemini, a Saturn in Taurus is going to do. I just told you I'm a Saturn in Gemini. You know, there's a Saturn in Taurus is going to do with that same problem. Saturn in Taurus is going to be like, man, I ain't wasting my time with that. They're going to throw money at it. They're going to pick up the phone and call an exterminator and say, hey, how much is it going to cost for you to come out here and remove this yellow jacket nest for me? All right, let's knock it out. Me, because I'm a Capricorn sun and my Saturn's in Gemini, that Capricorn sun, I want to solve that problem myself. I don't want to pay somebody else to do it. I want to figure that out myself. Figuring it out is a Gemini type of trait. That's the student, okay? I want to figure this out. Let me see if I can't figure this out. I've been battling this problem. And how many weeks ago has it been since I saw the first yellow jacket? It's been some weeks, maybe a month or two. I don't know. But each step I throw at it, I see less of them. So I'm like, all right, if I keep going, I know how to do it because I did it last year before it turned cold. I had a different yellow jacket hive in an in-ground yellow jacket nest in my backyard. I watched videos. I gathered information. I found out that, hey, their activity ceases at night. They go to sleep. So what did I do? I'm like, okay, still not trusting it. I'm going to make sure I pad myself with a lot of clothes. I threw on some sweats and then threw my army fatigues over the top of that because I know that BDU, that bee is not going to, or that stinger is not going to penetrate through that fabric. That fabric is waterproof. They trained us that in boot camp. They were like, hey, if you tie these pants on, you blouse them, tie that string tight, you make sure your buttons on your is all buttoned up, you tuck that shirt in, guess what? You get a little bit of air in there, that is actually going to help you float. it's going to help you float. So I'm not saying completely waterproof, but they're like, it's going to help you float by the way this fabric is made. So I already know a stinger can't penetrate it. And on top of that, I got sweats on. I put a hoodie on, some sweatpants, pulled my BDUs on over the top of that, tied the hood down tight, put a scarf over my nose, put a hat on, scarf over my head, put a hat on top of that, tighten the hood down, put some goggles on, put gloves on. And I went out there with my 7 dust, and I found, I went out there, first of all, I went out there at nighttime. Beforehand, I went out there with my cell phone at daytime. I did it quick, but I got my cell phone, went and took video over it and ran back real quick. And I was able to slow the video down and look at it and see exactly where the hole was. Figured that out. Okay. Oh, that's a big entrance. I can dump all of this. Went and got me a bottle of 7 dust, went out there at night, dumped all that 7 dust down that hole. I saw some of them, and I'm going to know that they got sentinels. Why? Because that's the smart thing to do. So what would, a military installation do? Most of the soldiers are going to go to sleep at night, but you got those that keep watch. So because I understand that, I'm thinking these yellow jackets got to have some that's on call and they up watching. So what do? I dumped it down in there, and then I saw a few start trying to fly out, but they had the white powder all over them. I took off, never got stung. Went out there the next morning, didn't see any activity. They were gone. I killed them all, killed the whole hive. Okay. I'm trying to use this same tactic over here, but because there's foliage covering it, I can't see where the hole is. So I'm kind of carpet bombing and shooting in the dark, but I'm steady figuring it out. I'm like, okay, I need to go out there with my machete at night and just real quick, maybe if it takes me 3 or 4 nights to get that top cover foliage down, where I just hit it 1 or 2 times and get gone, and then go out there the next night with the rake and pull off the stuff that boom. When I see that hole, y'all dead. Y'all done. Because I already know how to destroy the hive because I did it last year with 7 dust. So that was just an example. That wasn't an example I was going to give y'all of putting it all together. But I wanted to show y'all what that looks like. That high level energy was the Gemini. And of course, I didn't get into that lower level energy because if I did, I probably would have solved that problem already. But these things come in time, and this is a fresh download, y'all. So I'm sharing this to y'all. I'm sharing this with y'all hot off the presses. This fish is straight out the grease. Come get it while it's hot. Get your bread, get your hot sauce. This fish is fresh out the grease. It ain't nothing cold about it. We just seasoned it. We just breaded it. We just dropped it in the grease. It's out. Come get your fish. If you bite it right now, you're going to have steam coming out your mouth. That's how hot it is. All right. So now that was an example. Now, so I'm putting it together. Level 3. I went down the side road, y'all, because that example wasn't in the notes. But level 3 energy on solving your problem. Look at the ruling planet of your 10th house sign. Now, if your 10th house is in Aries, guess what your ruling planet is going to be? Your ruling planet is going to be Mars. I'm going to show you how this works. This is the part where y'all start taking notes. I'm not time stamping this, okay? So I got to figure out how to label this when this is done so that I don't need to plug this in, but I probably should. Give me a second, y'all. Let me plug in my laptop. I hope y'all are enjoying this class because this is exactly what this is. This is class. So I hope y'all are enjoying it. I hope y'all are getting something out of this. I hope you all are finding this useful and beneficial. I want you all to be master problem solvers. And for you to master problem solving, you got to master your chart. You got to know how to do it and then line it up with your chart. So that's what we're doing tonight. So again, now, if your 10th house sign is Aries, what's the ruling planet for Aries? It's Mars. It's Mars, right? The ruling planet for Aries is Mars. So you go and look at that Mars sign. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Level 3 energy is the ruling planet of your 10th house sign. And then what you do with that is you, how did I do this, y'all? I know I got this in my notes. Go through the signs, go through the 10th house, with 10th house rulers and signs. That house, the 10th ruler, use your, so, all right, I'll come to that at the end. If your 10th house, we already went through the Saturn signs. If your 10th house is in Aries, then guess what the ruling planet, your 10th house ruler is Mars. So what do I do with that energy, Matt? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look at, pay attention, take notes. The next thing I'm going to do, because my 10th house is in Aries, I know that I need to operate in Aries energy to solve that problem. But what's the next layer? If I can't get it just out of operating in Aries energy, what's the next layer? The next layer is this. You go down a layer and you say, okay, my 10th house ruler is Mars. So what do? I go in my chart and I look at what my Mars sign is. Look at what my Mars sign is. That the sign is always the energy, okay? So if your 10th house is in Aries, then your 10th house ruler is in Mars. Take your charts. Take your chart. This is a matrix, y'all. We're learning how to operate this machinery that is us. If your 10th house is in Aries, your 10th house ruler is Mars. So what you do is you go and you take that, you look at your chart and you see what sign you have Mars in. You see what sign you have Mars in, and that's going to tell you the energy. You look at what sign is your Mars. I'm going to show y'all what that looks like once I get down to mine. What's your Mars sign? That's going to be the next energy that you need to operate in order to figure that problem out. And once you know what that Mars sign is, you go back over to those Saturn signs I just gave y'all. Go find that timestamp and you click the timestamp for that sign. And that's going to tell you the next level of energy that you need to apply or throw at that problem in order to arrive at the solution. Right? We learn how to problem solve tonight. Next, if your 10th house sign is Taurus, what's the ruler of Taurus? What's the ruling planet? Venus. It's Venus. So what you do is you then go and you look at what your Venus sign is. That's the energy that you're going to operate in. You're going to throw that at the next. If those first two layers don't get it for you, then you go to the next level. Okay. If you operating in your Saturn sign energy, or you throw your Saturn sign energy at that problem and you seem a little stuck, then you go and you look at your 10th house sign. You operate in that energy. If you're still a little bit stuck there, you go down another layer. What's my 10th house ruler? Then you look at what that ruling planet is for that 10th house. And then you find in your chart, what sign do I have this planet in? What sign is this planet in? So again, if your second house ruler, if your second house, not second house, if your 10th house is in Taurus, then your 10th house ruler is Venus. Go and look at your Venus sign, and that's the next layer that you need to throw at it. Okay. And we know that Venus rules over two signs. It rules over Libra and Taurus. But if your 10th house sign is Taurus, you know that your ruling planet is Venus. You look at the energy of that sign, and you may even want to partner with somebody. You may want to partner with them because Venus rules over partnerships as well. So you may want to partner with somebody to operate in that energy of that Venus sign. Okay, moving down. If your 10th house is in the sign of Gemini, we just talked about that, and you need to go that next layer. What's the ruling planet for Gemini? Mercury. So you go on your chart and you find your Mercury placement and you see what sign your Mercury is in, and you throw that energy at that problem. See how we're doing this, right? Keep going on. Keep going on. If your 10th house is in the sign of Cancer, this is where I stop with myself. You know, the ruling planet for Cancer is the moon. So what's Matt going to do? If him just operating in Cancer energy didn't get it done, he needs to go and look at his moon sign. Well, guess what? My moon sign is Cancer. So that's telling me to double down on my intuition. Stop, sit with myself, feel it out. What am I picking up on? I'm an empath. How do I feel about this? The ruling planet for Cancer is the moon. The moon rules over the emotions. How do I feel about this problem? What are my emotions telling me about this problem? Okay. And then I got to trust my heart, because the moon rules over that heart chakra. It rules over that heart chakra. So I got to trust the answer that's coming from my heart. Don't doubt. Whatever it is that I feel in my heart, I should not doubt it. It's going to be the right answer. Okay. If your 10th house sign is Leo, the ruling planet is the sun. Guess what? Matt has Leo in his 10th house too. So what do? I go and I look at, okay, what is my sun sign? My sun sign is Capricorn. So the message to me is persist. Don't give up. Stay with it. Stay steady. Stay focused. Persist. Slow and steady wins the race. Keep climbing. Do not give up. If you don't give up, you are going to arrive at your solution. So guess what energy I'm in right now with dealing. So technically speaking, The Capricorn in me won't let me give up on this, even though I could pick up the phone and call an exterminator and have them remove it, because the Capricorn in me doesn't quit. That's another sign that doesn't quit. None of the earth signs give up, but the most stubborn with not giving up, believe it or not, is Taurus. Taurus ain't gonna, you can't make a Taurus give up. But guess what? You ain't gonna make that Capricorn give up either. So I got to look at, okay, I got Leo sitting in my 10th house. What's the ruling planet for Leo? The sun. Let's go find the sun on my chart. Where's the sun? My sun is in Capricorn. I got to persist. I can't give up. I got to take my time. Saturn rewards patience. Capricorn's ruling planet is Saturn. Saturn rewards patience. So if I'm patient and I'm diligent and I'm steadfast, I'm going to get rid of that beehive on my own. I'm not going to have to pay money to get somebody else to do it, even though I could. But that, to me, that's me taking a loss. That's me taking a loss. I gave up. If my intent was to solve that problem myself, I had not gotten stung. So let me stay on it. Let me stay on it. Okay. Now, if your 10th house sign is Virgo, we talked about that. You know what to do with that. If your 10th house sign is Virgo, you got to collect it. You got to collect the information. You got to analyze it. You got to pay attention to details. But guess what? If the picture's not coming clear to you out of the details, then what's the next thing you do? You look at the ruling planet for Virgo. It's Mercury. You find Mercury in your chart and look at what your Mercury sign is. That's your next layer of problem-solving energy that you throw at it. Okay? Next, Libra. If your 10th house sign is Libra, we know that the ruling planet for Libra is Venus. You go then, and again, like with Taurus, you find your Venus sign in your chart and you look at what energy you have. What sign is your Venus in? That's the energy you're going to throw at the problem. You may even want to partner with somebody on it because Venus rules over the 7th house of partnership as well. Okay. We know the Taurus aspect of it deals with the material goods. The Libra aspect of it deals with partnership. Okay. Next, if your 10th house is in the sign of Scorpio and everything that you've been doing doesn't give you that solution, then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at what the ruling planet for Scorpio is. Now, there's two things you can look at here for Scorpio. You can look at your Pluto sign, even though Pluto is more generational. Don't dismiss it. A lot of people, some of the critics have looked at me like, what is this guy talking about? But let me tell you the basics that drive me as an astrologer. The basics is the basic understanding that the Most High doesn't waste anything. So if you got something in your chart and you're not using it, it's going to waste, but that ain't who God is. He don't waste anything. So don't waste that. If you got a 10th house, if you're a 10th house Scorpio, you can look at you got two ruling planets. You got Pluto and you also have Mars. So go look at what sign you have Mars in and go look at what sign you have Pluto in. And between the two of those, look at those energies. There may be the solution for you may be either in what is your Mars sign or what is your Pluto sign. Okay. Next, if your 10th house is in the sign of Sagittarius, y'all know I love Sagittarius anywhere because it's going to be auspicious. Its ruling planet is Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of abundance. It's the planet of gifts, the planet of benevolence, the planet of fortune, the planet of luck, as some people say. So what you do, you go look at you got to look at where your gifts are. If your 10th house is in the sign of Sagittarius, you're already going to be a gifted problem solver. But if you probably can get it just in operating in that energy alone. But if you need more help, understand that your 10th house ruler is Jupiter. So you go and look at your Jupiter sign. What sign do I have Jupiter in? Guess what? Whatever sign you got Jupiter in, that's gifted energy for you. That's the energy that comes easy for you. Operate in that energy. You can skip past all that other stuff. Really, if you're a 10th house Sagittarius, you can skip past all of those other ones and just go straight to who is my 10th house ruler? Jupiter. What's my Jupiter sign? Let me operate my Jupiter sign, and that's going to solve my problem. Boom, done. Okay. If you're a 10th house Capricorn, that's pure problem solving energy. But guess what? If you need extra assistance, you're going to go right back to that Saturn sign because the ruler of Capricorn, the ruler of the sign of Capricorn is Saturn. So your 10th house ruler is Saturn, which is what it is naturally. So it's just going to loop you right back to your Saturn sign. It's going to loop you right back to your Saturn sign. So you can either operate in that Saturn sign energy or you can operate in the energy of the sign that you have in your 10th house. Either one of those, between the two of those, you're going to find the problem or the solution to that problem. Okay. Now, if your 10th house is Aquarius, then your 10th house ruler, I already talked about the Saturn. You can go look at your Saturn. You can go look at your Saturn sign and get information, but you got to look at that other one too, Uranus. What is your Uranus energy? What sign do I have Uranus in? Operating that energy. Operating that energy. Okay. And that's gonna move quickly for you. That's gonna be suddenly anyway. If your 10th house is in Aquarius, you're probably gonna get an unexpected solution, the sudden appearance of a solution to their problem that you weren't even expecting, because Uranus is the energy of sudden, unexpected events. So if you've got the sign of Aquarius sitting in your 10th house, that's an auspicious placement too. That's an auspicious placement. That's good. That's suggesting that because Uranus is your 10th house ruler, that solution is probably going to come out of the blue for you, but you can still go and look at your Uranus sign and operate, focus that problem solving attempts in that energy. And that's another layer for you. All right. And last but not least, if your 10th house is in the sign of Pisces, what's your 10th house ruler for Pisces? If you want to use traditional astrology, here's another one of those dual energies. If you want to use traditional astrology, you can look at Jupiter, because Jupiter originally or in traditional astrology, Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, but in modern astrology, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So look at your Jupiter sign and look at your Neptune sign, but keep your vibrations high. Yeah, you always got to be careful with those vibrations when you're dealing with Neptunian placements and Piscean placements, because Jupiter likes to play tricks on you when you're in low vibration. That's how Jupiter has its fun. Jupiter loves seeking whom it may devour. Not saying Jupiter is the devil. It's only the devil when you're in low vibrational energy. Not Jupiter. I said Jupiter. Y'all forgive me. I meant Neptune. Neptune. Not saying that Neptune is a devil. I'm just saying that it's only devilish when you're in low vibrational energy, because it gets to go he, ki. Okay. So that's the third layer. That is the third layer of problem solving, y'all. That's level 3 problem solving. Okay. You're going down these levels. There's levels to this stuff. And then last but not least, level 4 is the sign or constellation that your 10th house ruler resides in. The sign or constellation that your 10th house ruler resides in. Let me tell you what that looks like. My 10th house ruler is my 10th house ruler is the moon. I got 2 of them. I got the moon and the sun. Okay. So what sign does I think I just talked about that, basically. Ruling planet of your 10th house sign. Yeah, I basically just talked about that. You want to look at the sign or the constellation that your 10th house ruler is in. So if your 10th house ruler is Venus, you look at the sign that Venus is in. Your 10th house ruler is Pisces. Look at what sign. I'm sorry. If your 10th house ruler is Neptune, look at what sign you have Neptune in. All right, that's level 4. That's level 4. All right. So there's one more level. I told y'all I put a double question mark there. Y'all could go, if y'all want to write this down, you can write this down or not. But there, believe it or not, is a 5th level to this. If you want to look at, for example, in my case, I'm just going to use myself for an example here. I'm not going through all of them. My 10th house ruler, again, I got 2 signs there, the sun and the moon. Or I got 2 10th house rulers because I got 2 signs there. I got Leo and Cancer there. So my 10th house ruler for Cancer would be the moon, and the moon is sitting in the sign of Cancer. The next level, if I want to go one more layer down, I can look at what house that sign rules over. So my 10th house ruler is the moon. My moon is in the sign of Cancer. What house does Cancer rule over? It rules over the 4th house. So I got an even more microscopic energy I can throw at it if I need to go 5 layers deep. Most of us are not going to have to do that. Okay. But my 4th house sign is Capricorn. Matter of fact, I got 2 signs there, Capricorn and Aquarius. So at that point, it's a loop. It's telling me, hey, Matt, you're trying to get away from this. The answer, you've already found it. Stay in that Capricorn energy. Stay steadfast, stay unmovable. But guess what? Because you got Aquarius in the 4th sign and in the 4th house too, the other thing you want to do, maybe be unconventional. Maybe think outside the box. Guess what I did with that little yellow jacket high problem I got? I thought outside the box. I knew the general area where the hole was. I just couldn't see it because of the foliage covering it. So what did Matt do? Matt said, let me think outside the box. I went to Home Depot. I got a huge sandbag, and I brought that sandbag back, and I dropped it right over the general area of where the hole was located. Now, what I should have done is I overthought it a little bit. What I should have done was that plugged that hole. But you got to know how yellow jackets work. They'll just dig another hole. Okay, so that plugged it temporarily. What I should have done was, as soon as I covered that hole, I should have went out there and chopped all of that foliage down. But I'm thinking, okay, they won't be able to get out of there, and then the foliage underneath it is going to die. So by the time I move that bag out of the way, then I could just play mop up and dump that 7 dust in there. I wasn't ready for them digging around it and making another hole to get out. So they started flying out on the outside of the sandbag. But whatever hole they dug is temporary. It's not big because it's not as many of them coming out of there. So I didn't take advantage of the advantage I had. But that was me thinking outside of the box. So I was already in that 5th layer of energy without even thinking about it or without even trying. So y'all, why am I doing all of this tonight? I give you that as an example. Okay. So that is that's my 4th house ruler being the moon taking me back to Capricorn. The other thing I have in the 4th house is Aquarius. I talked about that. The other sign that I got there in the 5th house is the other 5th house or the 10th house ruler I have is the sun. My sun is in Capricorn. What house does Capricorn rule over? It rules over the 10th house. So I'm right back at that loop. So a lot of times you don't have to go that extra 5th level, but it's there for you if you need it. So why am I doing all of this, y'all? I'm doing all of this because, as I just told you, and that's it. I'm done with all of those. What I'm going to do before I get started is I'm going to before we end, is anybody that wants to volunteer and say, hey, what am I looking at based on what my 10th house sign is? I'll take up to 4 volunteers. But before I get to that and get in the comments and see who volunteered first or whatever, let me say this. Why am I doing all of this? I'm doing this because knowledge of self is very powerful. Now, I just sat up here and told y'all that I was in that out-of-box thinking energy on autopilot. But guess what? Intentional action based on knowledge of self is more powerful than accidental. Because once you're intentional, then you're driving the plane. You're flying the plane. It ain't flying on autopilot. It's not flying on autopilot. You may want to make an evasive maneuver, like the story I saw today in a YouTube short where they were saying some pilot of some airline, he was flying in some area where his tower didn't have radar. They were flying all the pilots and landing them by sight. And he had to make a last second evasive maneuver to avoid running into a B-52 because there was an Air Force base nearby as well. So that's an example of, hey, you know what? When you know your chart, when you know the equipment, it's fine. You a lot of the stuff you're going to do on autopilot, but who wants to go through life not even understanding yourself? When you have understanding is very powerful. Understanding is very powerful. You don't fall into it. You can make that informed decision to say, this is the action I'm going to take to solve this problem, because I promise you it's going to happen quicker for you. All right. I just shared with y'all that I thought outside the box and covered that hole with the sandbag. But had I had knowledge of the fact that, hey, my instruction for me in solving problem is if I hit that 5th layer, I need to think outside the box. Once I'm intentional about that, then I have knowledge of, hey, you know what? I'm going to put this right here, and then I'm going to come right back the next day with my machete and chop down this overbrush or this foliage, move that out of the way with the rake, and then I can come back, slide this sandbag out of the way at night and see where that hole is with my flashlight and dump that 7 dust down in it and be complete. And then I ain't got to call an exterminator and pay them God knows what. You know, the prices of everything is only going up. Okay. It cost me about 12, 13, 14 years ago. It cost me about what? $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, something around there to replace the clutch in my vehicle. I had to replace it earlier this year. That price jacked up to $3,400. My old man was like, look, for that amount, we could take our time and do this thing. But who wants to mess with a clutch if you're not a transmission mechanic or whatever? But I'm just showing you. Some people, that's a small thing. For me, I don't want to pay something that if I know how to do it. Like, I don't want to go to Ruth's Chris and pay, you know, upwards of a couple of $100 for dinner for two. $200-$300 or whatever for dinner for two, when I can buy them ribeyes, buy me some prime cuts of ribeye and make them myself at home and make them taste better than Ruth Chris. See what I'm saying? That's just me. But again, that Taurus problem solver might just say, hey, let's throw the money behind it and be done with it. Respect, much respect. What works for you works for you. What works for me works for me, but it's based on your energy. Okay. Let me read some comments and then we're going to get ready to, I'll take some volunteers and then we'll close out. Y'all, put a thumbs up emoji or a hand clap or something in the chat if if y'all found this useful, because I know I did. So, let's see what we got here. I saw a comment about writer's block. I'm gonna talk about that because I owe y'all an example. I didn't think, you know what? Let me give y'all that example now before I read the comments. Let me that bug fighting. That wasn't the example. Let me give y'all, since you mentioned writer's block, you actually reminded me. So thank you, fair use. During this creative process for this twin flame book that is scheduled for official release in September, but if you want to buy that pre-release copy and get yours 3 weeks before everybody does, y'all click that link and order yours now. They're going to start shipping in a few weeks, and so it'll start shipping mid-August. But if you don't get it mid-August, then you got to wait 3 weeks later and get it into September. But anyway, getting back to my point, in the process of drafting that book, I hit some stuck energy. And I was like, man, what is going on here? I won't talk about what that stuck energy was because, again, I'm a Mars and Scorpio, so I tend to move in silence or not show all my cards. All right. So anyway, I'm not gonna get into detail about what that stuck process was, but it was during this writing process I hit a mental block, and I said, man, why can't I push past this? What's going on here? Now, I know what the problem it was. Again, I'm not going to tell y'all, but let's just suffice it to say that it was a mental block. And so the answer to that block actually happened this evening, not this evening, but early this afternoon as I was preparing for this live tonight and preparing my notes for this live tonight. I was like, wait a minute. I need to operate in my Saturn sign energy and my 10th house energy. And once I got to my 10th house energy and noticed that my 10th house was in the signs of both Cancer and Leo, I knew that I needed to get in touch with my emotions and my empathy to get a spiritual answer for what was blocking me. And then I needed to get into that Leo energy and be fierce, ferocious, courageous, confident, determined, and creative about solving that mental block that I needed, or overcoming that mental hurdle that I needed to overcome to get what I needed to get done. And I also understood that because the Cancer's ruled by the moon, which rules over the heart, which is the fourth chakra, your emotions, they come from the fourth chakra, and that Leo is that sign of confidence that rules over that solar plexus chakra. I said to myself, all right, let me just steady myself. Let me get through this low vibrational emotion of being frustrated with this block, and let me just be calm and neutral. Neutral is a high vibration. It's a high vibration. Okay. Y'all can look at that cone. Neutral is a high vibration. Okay. So once I steadied and got out of that frustrated energy and sat in neutral, empathically, I picked up the answer, the spiritual answer for why I was having that block. I'm going to tell y'all what that answer was. The spirit then spoke to my heart and said, this block that you're hitting is because there is an energy out there that does not want this book released. There's an energy out there that does not want you to release Twin Flames, understanding and solving the problem of the avoidant / dismissive divine masculine. There is some energy that does not want that book released. So what did I do with that information? I then passed it off to my other energy, which is Leo. What does that Leo energy say? Oh, okay. So you telling me you don't want this out? Oh, now we're going to put it out. Now we're going to put it out. This block is gone. Boom. I burst through it. The rest is history. That's why I made the announcement tonight. That was all the spirit. All I had to do was steady my emotions so I could hear from the spirit and feel it and know it in my heart. There's an energy that doesn't want this book released. I don't care why it doesn't want it to be released. That is not important to me. What is important to me is when the devil tell you what he gonna do, know that the opposite is true. That's bars. That's bars. When the devil tell you what he gonna do, know that the opposite is true. If the devil whisper in your ear and say, I'm gonna unalive you, know that much more that you're gonna live. See, I told y'all this before. I'm on a little bit of a side tangent. I'm gonna get in the comments, but I've told y'all this on a number of occasions. Low vibrational energy does not have creation power. It uses your creation power to bring about what it wants. So that's why the enemy speaks a lie to your ear and tries to get you to believe it, because in your believing it and pouring your emotions into that lie, you manifest it. So to simply defeat it, when you hear it and it's low vibrational, know the opposite to be true. So I'm like, okay, there's an energy out here that does not want me to release this book. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to release this book. Oh, man, you ain't got to release that book, man. Somebody going to call you a fool. Somebody going to call you crazy. Man, look, man, I know you put a lot of work into this book, but don't let that one go. You done told the people you got 2 other ones that you already finished 2 years ago that you ain't published. Man, publish one of them. That's that voice of doubt. Y'all go look at my video I did. I said, did the devil make you do it or was it you? You're not going to hear me. Is the devil really outside of you? The devil can use people outside of you. But that high frequency of God and that low frequency of the so-called devil, both of those frequencies exist inside of you. Which one are you going to subject your energy body to? One is the voice of doubt. One is the voice of fear. Those are your emotions. Y'all find that on my channel. It's titled, Did the Devil Make You Do It or Was It You? It's a video I did maybe 2-3 years ago. It's only 16 minutes. All right. So that's it on that. Just wanted to share that story with y'all and give y'all a real world practical example of how me navigating through those problem solving energies, starting at the foundation level, which is that Saturn in Gemini, and then moving on through to that 10th house Cancer in Leo. Both of those 2 signs, Cancer and Leo, and then looking at what those ruling planets were. What do they rule over? This is how you make your energy work. This is why I'm always telling y'all to know yourself. You came here with an instruction manual. You came here with an owner's manual. You came here with an operations manual, an operator's manual. Just like back in the 60s, and I wasn't here in the 60s, but back in the 70s and the 80s, when you got them new cars, they came with books that told you how to fix them. Now, these newer cars today, these modern cars, they still have manuals in them, owner's manuals that tell you how to change, tell you what oil to use if you're going to change the oil, tell you what how to change the fuse or something like that. But they're not as in-depth as those old ones, where you could go to the parts store back in the day and buy the book that went with your car and just follow that guide, and you could fix it or replace any part in that book. I mean, in your vehicle based on what's in that book. That book is inside you. It's your natal chart. All you got to do is know how to navigate it. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. Understand that. All right. So that's that, y'all. Let me look and see if anybody wants to volunteer. And if not, we're going to get off of here, y'all. Thank y'all for being here tonight. I know I hit y'all back to back. I don't want this one to go another hour. So let me just move through this quickly. Let's see. Let me see where I left off. Cardinals. I saw that. Thank y'all for being here, man. Y'all are the best. Y'all really are. Y'all really are. And thank you to those. Thank you to the t-shirt order. I saw an order for a t-shirt. Let's see. And for the hardcover, I got a hardcover order that came in. So thank you guys, man. Thank y'all for hitting my website and checking it out. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all a lot. All right. Let's see. What did I drop off here? Okay, Toro Girl, gotcha. She said, have an early morning tomorrow. We'll watch the rest tomorrow. Thank you so much. Toro Girl, my pleasure. My pleasure. You'll probably be hearing me say that tomorrow, but my pleasure. Okay. All right. Let's see. That brings me peace, knowing I am working in the right space. Absolutely. Space Elf said, this is so helpful to know now that I can help my children as they grow. My pleasure. I'm glad it helps, Space Elf. We got to pass this knowledge down. Think about where you would be if you had known you had this knowledge when you were younger. Think about the hurdles that we could have overcome. The stuff that we didn't have to run into. Okay. But it wasn't, listen, it wasn't time yet. It was not time. We're now in the age of knowing. The age of Pisces was the age of believing. So we believed what we were told. We're now in the age of Aquarius, which is the age of knowing. This is the part in the scripture where it says knowledge will be increased. It's the age. It's connected to the cosmos. It's connected to the divine timing clock. So don't fret because we didn't have this knowledge back then. It wasn't time yet. Things can only come in season. Okay. All right. Dodge the bomber. Yup. Fear, you said I will volunteer. My 10th house is in Jupiter. I just learned this right now. Okay. So fair use. I'm taking that as your 10th house sign is Sagittarius. Is it? It's just tell me what your Saturn is in as well. I think you said it earlier, but I forgot it. I didn't write it down. I'm just gonna write down fair use. Fair use. Tell me what your Saturn is. And I see your 10th. You say your 10th house ruler is Jupiter. So I gotta guess that your 10th house is in the sign of Sagittarius, unless it is the traditional Pisces. So let me know which one that is. Your 10th house ruler is Jupiter. Jupiter. Okay, got it. Okay. And Lady Daggestad said, I just soak up all this knowledge. Okay. So fair use. I'm just going to do this one and then we'll get off of here. Okay. So because I didn't get any more volunteers. So fair use. I know I'm a little bit delayed, but tell me what that Saturn sign is. And then tell me what that 10th house sign is. I got that the ruler is Jupiter, but I don't know if you're looking at it as Sagittarius being that sign or Saturn in Pisces. Okay. So your Saturn is in Pisces. You did say that earlier. Okay. And your 10th house is in what sign? You said this 10th house ruler is Jupiter. Is that Sagittarius? Let me know if that's Sagittarius or if your 10th house is also Pisces. Let me know. I'm waiting on that, and then I'll give you a full breakdown of how you solve problems, your unique way of solving problems. Okay, 10th house. You and your feelings says 10th house Sagittarius with Uranus in my 10th house. Okay, that's you and your feelings. Okay, you and your feelings. Tell me what that Saturn sign is as well. Wait, 10th house is in your 10th house is in your 10th house is Uranus. I'm sorry. Your Uranus is in your 10th house, but your 10th house sign is Sagittarius. If your 10th house sign is Sagittarius, then your 10th house ruler is going to be Jupiter, you and your feelings. Okay. Let me know what that Saturn sign is. All right. Fair use. I'm waiting on your 10th house sign. I'm guessing it's Sagittarius. Fair use. I'm just going to guess it's Sagittarius since you said the ruler is Jupiter. So let me just do this. Fair use. You know that your foundational problem solving energy is going to require you tapping in. It's going to require you tapping in. I talked about that. What's up, Bernadette? Thank you for being here. Fair use. So your foundational energy is Pisces. You know what to do with that. Your Pisces energy, for you to solve problems, you're going to have to dream big. Okay. You're going to have to use your imagination. You're also going to have to tap into the spirit realm, meditate, go within. Those answers will come across that 12th house bridge. Those answers will come from the Most High Himself, or one of your ancestors, or one of your spirit guides, or even your higher self is where that's going to come from. Okay. You and your feeling said is Saturn's in Scorpio. Okay, good. Let's see. Scorpio. Okay, got it. Okay. So that's what you're going to do at a high level. But next fair use is legendary because your 10th house ruler is your 10th house sign is Sagittarius. You're going to use that wisdom. You got to use wisdom. You may have to travel to get that to seek the knowledge for solving that problem. You may have to be expansive, but just know that that's an auspicious placement for you. So you're going to get that answer. It's going to be given to you. Jupiter gives. Okay. So that answer is going to be given to you. I wouldn't even worry too much about that. That's a good placement for you. Now, pay attention to what sign you have Jupiter in if you have to go that next level. But with your 10th house ruler being Jupiter, that's a great place. That's a great energy to have for problem solving. So just know that when you combine those two with your Saturn being in Pisces, if you just tap within and you go within, the answer is going to be given to you. All you got to do is go within. Okay? All you got to go. All you got to do is go within. She said I have Venus and Mars in Sagittarius. Okay. All right. That pay attention because again, when your 10th house, wait a minute, you say your 10th house ruler is Sagittarius. Okay, so then your your 10th house ruler is Jupiter. So you would look at what that Jupiter sign is. You're getting off a little bit if you're going into Venus and Mars being in Sagittarius. That's a little bit off. What you want to do is you want to stay in that line. You want to stay in what is my Saturn sign? What is my 10th house sign? Who is my 10th house ruler? And what sign is that 10th house ruler in? That's the progression. Okay, so that keeps it neat for you. If you're going off into Venus, you're talking about Taurus or Libra energy, and I didn't hear anything in there about Taurus. You're also talking about with Mars, you're talking about Aries or Scorpio energy, and you didn't mention anything about a Saturn sign being Scorpio. Your Saturn sign is Pisces, okay? And then your 10th house sign you mentioned was, I'm guessing it's Sagittarius. You didn't say it there, but because you said it's Sagittarius, your 10th house ruler is Jupiter. So you're basically going to look at what your Jupiter sign is. You operate in that energy. You're going to be gifted with the answer. All you got to do, it's real simple for you, fair use. Just tap in. Stay in that Pisces energy. The rest of it's going to be a given. The giving is going to come through your tapping in. That giving is going to come through your connecting with your spirit, connecting with your higher self, meditation. Okay. Now, let me move over here to you and your feelings who has a Saturn in Scorpio. I mentioned that earlier. Alchemy. Okay. Transformative. Pay attention. Wait for the right moment. Okay. Pay attention and just silently observe. Silently observe. It is also the energy of the seer. So watching that problem, sometimes you will see the answer revealed to you just by watching the problem. Scorpio is the energy of the seer. Remember that Scorpion obscures itself and it watches. What you don't do is that Saturn and Scorpio ain't necessarily a sign where you want to go and tell everybody your problem, because then now people are in your business and it's messing with your spiritual energy, quite possibly your ability to alchemize that. So you, with that Saturn and Scorpio, you want to be silently observant and watch. Just watch. Scorpio is a sign of the seer, so you may get a spiritual revelation on the solving of that problem just by watching. But if you got to go to that next layer, your 10th house is in Sagittarius. Okay, that's auspicious. That's just like fair use is legendary. So with your 10th house ruler being Jupiter, what is your Jupiter sign? It really doesn't matter because it's going to be given to you if you operate in that Scorpio energy. Now, I ain't telling you what to do. You know what your partnership energy is. If you need to engage in tantra or using your sacral chakra energy, because Scorpio rules over the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is responsible for creativity as well. It's the feminine creative energy. The masculine creative energy is the solar plexus, but the feminine creative energy is the sacral chakra. So you married, you got a significant other, whatever. If you're in high vibrational energy and that's a high vibrational partner, sometimes you can solve that problem by engaging in sacred energy exchange / tantra, and that can solve problems for you too, and do a myriad of other high vibrational things. But the key is to be in high vibrational energy and have a high vibrational partner. Okay. All right. So that is all I got, y'all, because my eyes are progressively getting red. We're at 2 hours and 13 minutes. So now's a good time for me to stop. I thank y'all for being here tonight. If you have not done so already, hopefully, again, y'all leave me a comment underneath the video when this is done. I do have to go back and add the timestamps. Y'all know how I move. I'm gonna try. I usually give myself 24 hours as a buffer. Typically, I'll go right on there and do it after. I'll see what type of energy I'm in after I close out this live. But for anybody that wrote down the time marker for their particular Saturn sign, if you want to put that in the comments, feel free to do so. But I will come back in here and add these timestamps for you for these Saturn signs. And you guys watching the replay, you'll be able to follow the instructions. Y'all, I want you to be expert problem solvers. I want y'all to master the energy that is you. I want y'all to master it. Knowledge of self is powerful. The more you know yourself, the more you love the Creator, the more you love the Most High, the more you love the universal I Am presence for making you the way that he/she, depending on which aspect you're looking at. We all have masculine and feminine energy, and we were all created in the image and likeness of the Most High. So guess what that means? Same thing. Okay. So the more you know yourself, the more you love the Creator. You're like, wow, look how you made me. Now I understand why I was placed where I was placed in this world, in this particular family, in this zip code, in this situation. You equipped me with everything I need to get out of this. Okay? Christianity, the church, your pastors, they're going to tell you, well, pray about it. Well, pray about it. I told y'all, man, I think the dark rulers of this world thought they was going to pull off some sort of galactic level denial of service attack by getting everybody to constantly keep praying and begging to the Most High when he put within you the ability to solve these problems. And the Messiah taught us that, but these churches ain't teaching what he taught. He said the kingdom of God is within you. He said, don't look outside of you. That's Luke 17 and 20 through 21. He was teaching the people, them that had ears to hear and eyes to see. He was teaching them to go within. He was teaching them what he did. Go within. You want to access the Most High? You want to access the secrets of the universe? You want to access and tap in to that divine presence? It's accessed by going within. I'm not saying you won't feel the spirit or the move of the spirit if you're in church. I felt it before. But what I'm saying is we've been taught this thing in reverse for too long. Look outside of you to find God. When it's inside. He equipped you before you got here. Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 4 through 5. I knew you before I formed you in the womb. And I sanctified you and gave you your job before you got there. Why would the Most High give you a job and not give you the equipment to do the job? The answers are inside of you. I gave y'all the illustration of the mothers, how they came from, how they were already in that lineage umpteen generations before they arrived, and umpteen generations after them that they may never meet in the flesh are already inside of them and have been passed on already through the daughter and the next one and the next one and the next one. Answers are inside of you, family. All right. So hit that like button on your way out. And if you're new to the channel and you like being entertained, educated, uplifted, and inspired, hit that subscribe button and make sure you set the notification bell to all so you'll be notified when I upload new content. Okay. Thank you. Huge thank you to people who are already pre-ordering the pre-release copy of this groundbreaking book. That if you're on that journey, this is going to, oh my gosh, this is going to set you straight. This is going to open your eyes and give you a fresh understanding. This is going to show you, this is going to help the problem to go away. We're talking about problem solving tonight. This book that I'm releasing is a problem solving book. Once you delve into this book and you understand, you will see that the problem is not a problem at all. You'll see that the problem is probably what you were looking at in the mirror the whole time and not somebody outside of you. You want to change a picture, you got to change yourself. That's the premise of Michael Jackson's song, Man in the Mirror. He said, I'm going to make a change for once in my life. It's going to feel real good. It's going to make a difference. It's going to make it right. Okay. He said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make that change. Fix you first. Fix you. Y'all, I can't wait for y'all to read that book. Some of y'all might cry. Some of y'all might want to have some tissues ready. Some of you are going to see that these are the answers you've been looking for a long time. Some of y'all are going to cry reading that book. I already know it. Okay. So thank you to those of you who've ordered that. Thank you to those of you who've ordered t-shirts, anything else off there, cups, anything off the website. I really appreciate y'all. Okay. And then, so let me move on. It is never too late to show love, y'all. I don't care how late the age gets. It's never too late to show love. So tell somebody you love them and mean it. How do you mean it? You have to show it. Love is a verb, right? Everybody wants to experience the noun version of it, which is the state of love. I want to be in love. All right. Work on the verb version first. Show love, then there'll be love. But love starts with self too. Show yourself love. I'm preaching to the choir with that. For the longest time, I took care of everybody else, and neglected myself. I've learned now that there is strength in not neglecting myself, but showing myself love. Because guess what? The stronger I am, the stronger, the bigger my capability and my ability to show love to others. If I don't fill my own tank, I got nothing to pour out to anybody else, right? Some of y'all need to take that advice. And the last thing I'll say is this before I get off of here. She said, let me look at some comments. Sorry, I ain't paying attention. Let's see. Fair use. I know the mission is dual, the sacred work for the ancestors and teaching something. Yep, that is correct. Fair use. Bernadette said, where do we go to order? Bernadette, the link is in the description box. The link is in the description box underneath this video. And Fair Use is Legendary said, I definitely need a copy ASAP. Got you. Go to the link in the description box and pre-order the pre-release copy. And any of your friends that you know that are going through some similar things, put them on. There's not another book out there like this one I wrote. I promise you that. This was divine downloads. So tell your people, put them on, okay? You will only be able to order this special edition pre-release from me, from my website. When it's launched in September, you'll be able to get it from Amazon. Okay, you'll be able to get it in Kindle and in iBooks. I'm months down the road, I'm going to produce an audiobook version for those of y'all that want to hear it. It won't be traditional audiobook, though. I talked about that. But if you want to get this special limited edition copy, you got to get it from me. And I won't give any more details because the details are all in the blog post that is linked underneath this description box. And that blog post has a link in it that's going to take you to the order page where you can get more information on what you're going to learn and how this book is going to benefit you. So follow those steps. They're in progression, a lot like what we just did tonight. So the last thing I'll say before I get off of here, she said, I'm going to put myself first. Absolutely. The last thing I'm going to say before I get off here, y'all, is authenticity. You have to be authentic if you want to achieve your destiny. If you want to arrive at your destiny, if you want to fulfill your purpose for coming into this life, the only way you're going to do it is to operate in authenticity. Don't be that person that shows up next lifetime and another version of Matt is looking at your natal chart and seeing all these retrogrades in there. Them retrogrades mean you came back here to do something that you didn't complete the last time. Don't be that person. And everybody's got some retrograde energy in their chart. It's normal, okay? It's kind of odd to see a chart that doesn't have at least one of the planets in retrograde. So very few people get a 100 on the test, okay? In this thing called life, because there's too many energies, too many different things we came here to balance and do and all of that. But whatever you do, don't come back here with a retrograde next to your North Node. Your North Node is your destiny placement. Okay? I'm a North Node in Capricorn. Guess what that means? That means the next time I incarnate, I'll be a North Node in Sagittarius. The North Node moves the opposite direction of everything else. Okay? But if I show up here again with a North Node in Capricorn, it's going to have an R in it. Either it's going to have an R in it or it's going to be cycled all the way back around 12 lifetimes later. All right? That's all I got for y'all. Allie, thank you for hopping in, Allie. There's something for you in this video. So thank you. Fine, you came in there late. But Allie, you know your boy Matt, I've always got something in here for you. So check it out. And y'all, and it's 2:22 on the clock. This is a good time for me to get out of here. 2:22, that's a divine synchronicity. She said, I didn't get to do mine, Saturn and Leo. Workout junkie, I'm sorry. I got to go. But just go through the signs, go through the video again. It'll show you how to do it. If you got a question, leave it in the comments underneath the video. And I got you. That's all I got, family. I love y'all. Peace. Be blessed. And y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. What's today? Monday. I'm probably going to be back on Wednesday so we can do our new moon manifestations for the new moon in Leo. Okay? We'll talk about that in 2 days. I will see y'all then. Until then, peace, family. Love y'all. Peace.